also have to. We have a unique position here in these United States. I've got to say that. I would definitely agree with that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Playing main, system water bottles and Gatorade. Conversation, a lot of people want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my gold teeth in the.
What's up, y'all? I appreciate y'all joining me, man. I got a good show for y'all, man. I've been having some fun kind of doing this research and trying to figure out exactly what's at the bottom of this conversation here. And and shout out to all of my people out there, man. I have some sympathy, a lot of sympathy. I'm not even gonna say some for people who are disenfranchised and feel a little how would you say uh, off balance by dealing with some of our identity crisis that we have to deal with here in America, and the dealing with the shattered egos and attempting to remember and remember something that has been dismembered from us personally, and that's a admirable goal. I think that that's something we all need to participate in on a very high level. Something we need to take very serious for our own mental fortitude and figure out how to navigate that for ourselves. So, with that being said, uh, I've always gotten on these shows and tried to promote that there are much better ways for us to reassemble our egos, our identities, rather than to unnecessarily cling to the past in unhealthy ways. So I've been doing a lot of digging. Have done a lot of, a fair amount of research. I've been reading articles. I even got, somewhere through what was that? It wasn't just an article. It was a paper. It was a submitted paper by a high schooler who did a presentation. Apparently, that got a lot of love from the Pennsylvania institution. So it was something. It was something pretty serious, right? So there's really something behind the cultural, reorganizing or putting back together the egos and the identity of the Black community, right? And I think, unfortunately, we might have to include other people groups in that, right? We might have to acknowledge the cooperation or the collaboration that we had to go through with other people groups to make that happen. To invent something as big and as worldwide as hip hop, something that has, a lasting effect on Black people here in America. And this, I don't think that's a diminishment. I don't think that that takes away anything that we ultimately have accomplished here in America. I don't think that it diminishes our identity here in America. I don't think that that is a negative at all, right? And I can understand if some people see it that way. Me personally, I don't. And I don't feel like I'm attacking black people by saying it. I think I'm just bringing out what the facts actually say. So what I'm gonna do here tonight is I'm going to walk us from slave spirituals on up to hip hop. And when we get to hip hop, we're gonna stay there for a little while, and we're going to navigate exactly how historians view hip hop and how they view the contributions of the Latino community from the Bronx in the origins of hip hop. That's what we're doing tonight. All right, so let's get it started. You want to say anything before we get going, kids?
Just want to say what's up to everybody. Thanks for stopping in. Peace to the chat. Good topic. I'm sure we're all going to learn something tonight, you know. And we're going to look at things through some different perspectives. You know, me and Logic talk in the background about this topic, you know, often. So I have some surprises for him also.
Okay. That's good.
No, we definitely gonna have a good time. So that's
gonna be a good time. You know, look,
that's what's up.
Right or wrong, I'm just here to have a good time, man. Produce some good content for everybody to learn something from. What's up, Brass?
What up, though?
I'm
gonna hang out in the chat. I'm gonna let you cook with hot grease.
Right.
I'm gonna keep my personal opinions personal. So I'm gonna
No, you ain't.
Yes,
but
I am.
Go ahead. No,
yes, I am. I'm gonna take care of the chat and get in where I fit in. It's fun to actually watch the shows. So I'm in the chat. Man, cook up.
That's what's up.
I've been presenting this article a bunch of times, and I know I think Hits actually wanted to make a comment on this particular line of this article. And I don't think we really got a chance to. I think we were kind of late in the last time that it was like late in the show when I pulled this up. But I pulled up this Kool Herc interview, right, that he did. I think it was in 1996. Kool Herc was sitting down with about two other people, and one of the people was asking him about, you know, some of his background to getting into DJing, and he was expressing that he would, you know, he started out just kind of DJing in his house, and people were like listening to his music, and they would just, you know, they would comment, they would be like, man, I like what you're playing up there, blah blah blah. So here's one of the quotes from Kool Herc. That's what KH stands for. And he was commenting on what he was playing. He was responding to his neighbor who commented on his music and said she liked what he was playing, right? And he responds, it was Cousin Bruce and Wolfman Jack, Jody in Disguise, all of that stuff. I would say music wasn't about the black thing. It was a we thing, right? So from that comment, I particularly get that Kool Herc is expressing that he was not only playing it for black people, he wanted all people to enjoy the music. So it was, you know, that tells me that from day one, he never had this exclusionary attitude about we're only doing a black thing over here. What do you think about that, Hits?
I don't see a particular year there, right? And I'll speak to the DJ aspect. In the time frame, I believe he came to America, right, was the 60s. And when you're talking about playing music, you reference what you hear on the radio, you reference what you hear around you. And even if you wanted to play certain music, you would have to go actually purchase that music. There's no MP3s, there's no download, there's no streaming. So he would have to actually, or anyone would have to go purchase that music. And then it's who we're playing for. So if you know, we're not going to do it now, but we can look up some of the soul songs in the 60s. So there would be no need for anyone who wanted to hear soul music in the 60s, or funk music, or rock music, or those things to go outside of what you want to hear. So if you're playing for everyone, that most audiences are not everyone. That would be like pop music. You know, if you go see like Michael Jackson, you have people from all over the world love Michael Jackson, but he didn't necessarily start in pop music. So I'm always interested in who you're playing for, what time period, what's going on around you, things like that. So he can't play for everyone in his bedroom. Sorry, you can't play for everyone at the local club. There's certain people that come to these places to hear certain kind of music. So and that was just a paragraph I think in an article. So that's all. Definitely
I got you. I got you. Yeah, he was talking about the origins of like before he started blowing up. He's still telling the story. I remember that this happened in 1996, and I forget how I came across that because it's not listing the person who did the interview because there's 3 people talking here, and there's only 2. Okay, maybe I'm tripping. Okay. We can get back to that. I don't think that's a serious point, but if I remember correctly, this interview is from 1996.
Cindy Campbell might be his sister. I'm not 100% on that, or she can just be someone. Cause I believe his name is Clive Campbell, right? His government is Clive Campbell. I think it's no
idea on that. But I do want to let me show us some love. Let me get into it. Let me show us some love, right? Let me show us some love. So this is kind of like how I started my journey here, right? And I use ChatGPT, not necessarily as an ultimate source, but I can ask it for sources and it'll point me in that direction. You can go into the article and find, what it is that ChatGPT is looking at for yourself, right? Spell today. So I thought that this was very interesting because when I type this in the ChatGPT, it says that there's actually significant influences from slave spirituals, right? But it's when it gets into what is the influences, I come across something that I keep running across when I'm looking at hip hop. Let me put both. Yeah, we're both on the screen. Okay. See how it says this call to response? This call to response and resistance and resilience. Mm-hmm. That's the theme that I can't seem to get away from, right? And I've been listening to people talk about it. There was a lecture I ran across on Stanford. It's actually on YouTube of a guy in a class teaching, the origins of hip hop, and the part of the main things that he's focusing on are the cultural responses, resistance, and resilience. And apparently, that's a big part of the story, right? Like you can't unwind the social implications from the origins of hip hop. Now, thanks to you, right, I get a closer view, right, of maybe like what's happening in like the early, late 70s, where people are literally just having fun while they're listening to the music. And then, then you kind of help me understand that as hip hop evolves, right, then you start getting this cultural movement, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But I thought that was actually, just something I wanted to kind of really share with everybody, right? Let's see what it says here. It says this technique is prevalent in hip hop, where a leader sings or raps a line and the crowd or background group responds. Has roots in African music and was central elements of slave spirituals. And the resistance and resilience slave spirituals often contain hidden messages and were a form of resistance against oppression. Similarly, hip-hop frequently addresses social and political issues, serving as a voice for marginalized communities. Very, very interesting. Let's fast forward in the history a little bit. Let's see.
He's flying, y'all. Just so y'all know, he's flying, but we're going to slow down a minute.
I'm flying. I'm flying.
Oh,
Okay,
you
let me
flying? Oh
fly,
yeah,
dog.
you now
I
you
got,
can
I
yeah,
got
wait,
wings. I got
you
wings.
flying, but we're gonna
Right.
talk. Go ahead.
Jeez. Man, I can't spell today.
I can't never spell, so you good. Don't worry about it.
Let's go into the blues. You still seeing influences. So the one thing I really liked about when I read about this is that you stated really early in this conversation about how hip hop is black people doing their thing. And somebody later on puts a title or coins a term and refers to this thing that black people were doing, and they begin to call it hip hop, right? I actually thought that was like one of the most profound things actually said at all about this whole conversation, right? You want to say something about that right there? Because that's profound right there. Because it seems as though black people have been doing this. I mean, you can't say that they were doing hip hop,
Yeah,
while they
yeah.
were doing slave spirituals, but you
No,
can
no,
see the
no.
influence.
Okay.
At least, go ahead.
Keep your screen right there, and I'm just gonna share mine for a minute because
Oh yeah.
it's a lot on here, and we don't want to get into the minutia, right? Again, let's just start at the very top. The evolution of African American music, and while I was saying you're flying, is because sometimes it's necessary to fast forward through some of these things. But let's just keep three things in mind. Sacred music. That's where you would get. I believe y'all can see my mouse. That's where you would get spirituals, gospel, things like that. Chants, certain dances. Then you have work songs, secular genres, things they may say while they're playing games or they're having a good time. The type of music they may play or the songs they were sing. And then on the far right, you have syncopated music where you have bands and structure and military, arrangements of how their troops, troops go marching in. They march off of music. So these are three separate initial parts of African American music. And we'll end up down here throughout the conversation where we're around this hip hop. And just by looking at this chart, right, from 1600s, well, 1600 to like the 1970s, you get real congested in this area here. And that's what we're going to talk about mainly. Like, why do you have all this congestion? If you have three separate genres, secular, which would be work songs, fun songs, game songs, sacred, gospels, spirituals, and then structured, which would be on the right, like if you're in a band or something, or you play by certain defined rules in music and musical styles. But we're going to end up down here. So I think the comment was that they it was called hip hop afterwards. And I think you found, let me stop sharing so you can go back to your screen, right? You, not you, someone would have to show, and this is part of the surprise I kind of had for you, is that we're going to deal with flyers from the 70s. We're going to look at a bunch of flyers, and these flyers, and actually I'm going to find, I have them in my phone. I'm going to put up flyers from where I live at, and it was a breakdance crew right here where I live at called the Floor Wizards. And they used to go to New York City in the 80s and battle. So they're on flyers too as the Floor Wizards. But even into the 80s, we're going to look at flyers that don't have the terms hip hop music, hip hop artist, or hip hop party. But the people you see in these flyers and the music they're performing and the places they're performing, we know now as hip hop. So that's why I would say this is something that the term was called, well, the term was stamped on it later. So I don't care what some people on the corner are saying or this party, oh, they call it this kind of, it wasn't stamped until later. because if I threw a party and I knew I was playing hip hop music, it would be on the flyer. If I was going to have hip hop artists, they would be called hip hop artists. So that's some of the stuff that we're going to look at later. And trust me, Logic didn't know anything about this, y'all. He didn't know anything about it. So when we start pulling up flyers, you know, it's not another rabbit hole, but it's just another way to look at the term hip hop, the action of doing this, which goes into line with what I was saying, that it's a continuation of African American culture, most parts of it, the dance, the music, the slang, the clothing, things like that, because you don't have to name it that day that you see it. So that's what ties into my opinion, that it's a continuation, and it was labeled later. Go ahead,
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
My whole screen is frozen, yo.
If you want to go out and come back, I'll be here. You can do
give me like a second. I look like I might have to reboot my computer. I'm frozen.
Go ahead. Nope, I'll be here. So what I'm gonna do while you're going is I'm gonna find a flyer. Actually,
So you had a camera phone in the 70s?
You're not listening. They have printed flyers, a paper flyer. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna show people my notes. By the way, I take a lot of notes when me and Logic or people are talking about hip hop. See my notes? Those are my notes. So I'm just gonna pull up a flyer while Logic reboots his computer. We're just gonna, and you can go to Instagram, by the way. Prime Minister Pete Nice. Oh, I gotta share my screen. Hold on one second, y'all. Logic ain't on the helm, so I'm gonna share my screen.
I'm here if you need me, bro.
Oh, you good? You good? Only thing you need to let me know is if you can see the screen or
I can see the screen.
Out. Okay. You can go to Instagram to Prime Minister Pete Nice page. Let me find it. Here we go on my computer. Pete Nice is he's one of the members of the group called Third Base, and he doesn't have their pictures up here, but Third Base is two white guys. And their DJ was black.
Gas Face.
Yeah. They had a song called The Gas Face, right?
Okay, good.
And their DJ, Richie Rich, is that would be my realm of interest, is anyone's DJ. I believe Richie Rich is Jamaican, but these are two white boys. You got MC Search, and if actually you're a Jay-Z fan, so when
Searchlight Publishing,
there you go. That's MC Search.
Yeah,
MC Search is the third member of Third Base. So you got Pete Nice, MC Search, and DJ Richie Rich. See, back then they included the DJ with the group, so it was three members. But Pete Nice does curation for the Universal Hip Hop Museum. And you can still see my screen, right? I'm scrolling.
Yep.
That would be Search. Here's an example, one flyer, and I'm just going to scroll through it quickly just so you can see some of the flyers, but you're going to notice something that's common. That when you look at these flyers, let me make sure the flyer blew up. Yep, it did. At the top, you won't see a hip hop show, hip hop party, hip hop artist, hip hop anything. You see who produced the party. You got Flash, that's hip hop, right? Melly Mel, Kid Creole, Cool DJ, AJ Starsky. 1978, Audubon Ballroom. Nowhere on here, I don't believe it says hip hop anywhere. This is just one flyer. And what he does as far as his curation in the Universal, or I think it's Universal Hip Hop Museum, or it's the Hip Hop Museum, he curates flyers. He collects flyers. That was his major contribution. You're also going to see this name that a lot of people don't want to, speak about no more up there, Mr. Zulu Nation Bambaataa himself. This is 77. Battle, Charlie Rock. They tell you the place, the high school, the price of admission. You don't see hip hop. 73. Here we go. 73. Citywide disco at a high school, Riverside Plaza. You have the people who will be performing. But again, you don't see hip hop. Let's just do another one real quick. AJ, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. This group right here, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, one of them was Andre Harrell, who went on to start Uptown Records, who was Puffy's protege. So that he was a member of a rap group called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. What else do we got? You got Melly Mel in here. Grandmaster Flash. You don't have the Furious Five, but you have Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mel, Disco B. I believe, yeah, I think that's Flash's homeboy, not Busy B. But the common theme you'll see on these flyers, you don't see hip hop anywhere. The Infinity Machine, King Charles, Supreme Sound Experience, Brooklyn, 1979. So even that late in the game, after you have crews established, dancers established, names established, this quote unquote title of hip hop music and culture established, you still don't see it on flyers. And I'm sure if someone can find one, they can pull that up. Flash, Furious Five, Funky Four, DJ AJ, Busy B, Theodore and the Fantastic Five, Logic. Let me know when you're back too. But these are just some of his submissions to the Hip Hop Museum. My point in showing this is the term hip hop is not even on the flyers. In the 70s and even into like the early 80s, you don't see hip hop. Well after these people are established as quote unquote hip hop DJs, rappers, and dancers, you still find that hard, to locate on flyers. So, but again, this is from Prime Minister Pete Nice on Instagram. He's a curator at the Hip Hop Museum, not Universal Hip Hop Museum, but the Hip Hop Museum. And his specialty would be flyers. So that would build on the conversation that Logic was, talking about how I said, they stuck the name on it after. They didn't have the name first, and everybody, conducted themselves in the culture. The culture was there. The name came later. So that would be one of my submissions. Logic, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
You got it. You make me talk that long, man.
For a quick second. What's up, Chef, man? I see you in the chat, yo. But you know what? Everybody out there that's gracious enough to hear us out, I got the evidence on my side. That's the key. That be the key to the whole conversation. The evidence points to what I'm talking about. And I kind of haven't changed my stance. I haven't had to. Those contributions that were made early enough to a culture and not just music, you can bank that as significant enough to say that they're a part of the origins. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna walk us all the way into that, right? Because the first point that I'm hammering home is about this cultural movement, right? Which is really important for establishing exactly what is hip hop, which is the whole reason why I made the show. And I feel like a lot of people are missing that as a part of the question of what they are saying that they're claiming is ours. I'm not FBA, but they're saying it only belongs to Black people. And, it looks like the evidence kind of disagrees, right? So once you got to establish what it actually is, and I'm going to continue to do that right quick. I'm going to put my screen back up here. You get a much better understanding of exactly what it is we're talking about when we're saying what is hip hop, right? There's another cultural movement called bebop, right? This is a innovation that happened in jazz music, right? It was established in the 1940s, holds significant cultural importance for several reasons. Artistic revolution. Bebop responded to a departure from more commercial dance-oriented swing music that dominated the 1930s and 40s. It emphasizes complex harmonies, fast tempos, intricate melodies, marketing a shift towards jazz and the art form focused on listening rather than dancing. Let's see. Cultural identity. Bebop emerged during a period of significant social change and was closely associated with African-American experience. It became a form of cultural resistance and empowerment, reflecting the desire for artistic and social freedom. I mean, how many of us are, looking at hip hop as a source of empowerment, looking to reclaim hip hop as a source of empowering the Black community, right? I feel like that part of the conversation, I think, is very admirable. Very, very admirable, actually. That's the part about the conversation that I actually love And I feel like, I'm also adding that I feel like we don't diminish that. We don't diminish that empowering aspect of the conversation by calling it a collaboration with other groups of people. So let's get more into it. I think the crowd is what it is, and we'll get into to the meat of the whole conversation here. So let me ask AI another question.
And just so the audience knows, this is not a conversation about I think what we were talking about 2 weeks ago. Did Caribbeans or Puerto Ricans contribute to hip hop? Did they create it? Me and Logic kind of moved forward because I think one of his premises with me was it was birthed out of things that were going on in a neighborhood, in a certain time frame.
But I actually got you there.
Yeah, no, I'm good. No, I'm just keeping people up, speed. Go ahead.
I'm actually gonna do both tonight. I'm gonna do both of them.
And I'm not gonna pull up Chat GBT or Google unless necessary. But go ahead. I'm gonna let you cook because I want you to cook.
You want to see if I'm actually digging myself a hole, and I'm not.
No, you good. You solid. Go ahead.
That's what I hope you're doing, so we can have a good little convo. So look, rap and hip hop are closely related, but they refer to different aspects of the culture and music. Here are some key differences. Right? Definition: rap is a musical style that involves rhythmic and rhyming speech, often performed over a beat. It is a vocal technique that can be a part of various music genres, components, lyrics, flow, delivery. Primary focus: rap is specifically about vocal delivery and lyrical content. Examples like Eminem, blah blah. So hip hop definition is a broader cultural movement. Many times I've been saying that up here. That began in the 1970s in the Bronx, New York, and encompasses a wide range of artistic expressions. The elements, cultural aspects include fashion, slang. So you got clothes, you got speech, and particular attitudes and ethos. I believe ethos is like, isn't that like thought processes or how you kind of see the world? I could be wrong on that. But anyway, primary focus, hip hop is about the culture and lifestyle, encompasses various forms of artistic expression beyond just the music. Beyond the music. It goes beyond.
And tell people you changed the name of the show like 5 times too. Don't.
I changed it one time.
because how you say that is like, oh, don't leave that out. That wasn't the title. That hip hop was hip hop music or was hip hop culture. So
right. I wanted to get our FBA
that was a working
title.
Too. No, go ahead.
I did want to get our FBA family in here too, and politely prove them wrong on some things, and maybe even elevate the entire conversation about what part of this conversation should we really be focusing on, because once you're looking at this like a culture, and you kind of get a better idea of what the culture is all about, I think you should elevate the conversation. Because if it's a collaboration, but it does your community some good, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have it just doing your community some good, or to have it doing your community bad and all be yours? Just as an example, it may not be it belonging to only us might not be the most important part of the conversation. Rap is a musical technique and a component of hip hop music. Focused on lyrics and vocal performances. Hip hop is a cultural movement. It doubled down on it in the summary. That includes rap as one of its elements, but also encompasses DJing, breakdancing, graffiti, art, fashion, and unique lifestyle and attitude. In essence, while all rap is a part of hip hop, not all hip hop involves rap. Hip hop is the culture, and the rap is one of the ways culture is expressed. Very important. Very, very, very important. I think it pretty much like got into my last part of what I was going to be able to pull up, but it's telling you, is it better described as music, or is hip hop better described as a culture? You want to say anything to that?
Yeah, just if you could clarify your premise a little bit more, because you not that you said a lot, but you are reading a lot, right? And if you're going to keep starting at hip hop, right?
Mhm.
I can show that it wasn't even popularly used as a term until probably late 70s, early 80s, which
Mhm.
would be at least 6 to 10 years after Cool Herc had a party where hip hop was created, which everyone to this day, that's super arguable, right? That all the elements of hip hop started in 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, right? No one like actually believes that. It's a starting point, it's a history marker. Um, and it sounds like another premise you have is that hip hop was created out of the struggle that was going on in the community at a certain time, and that struggle was felt by different ethnic groups. So they
Mhm.
all because hip hop was formed from this struggle that all of these different ethnic groups were going through, that they no, that they were there at the creation, and they were part of the creation, not necessarily contributors, but because my neighbor who was Caribbean or somebody around the corner from me was Puerto Rican, because we went through the same struggles, our music and our culture, hip hop, came out of that struggle. And that's where, I think we're going to have our disagreement at.
And I
Good,
understand that.
good.
So what I'm doing now is I am narrowing this down and making it painfully obvious that hip hop goes beyond music and it's a culture, right?
We
And now
agree.
I'm gonna and I'm gonna just reiterate that here, because I asked the question that says hip hop is better described as a culture than just music. I'm not gonna go into the rest of it, but you actually see what the answer to that question is. And so my premise would be, well, first off, I'm making two premises tonight. My first premise is that hip hop is definitively a culture. And my second premise is going to be that you definitively cannot take Latinos out of the origins of that culture. And I'm going to show that in a couple different ways. And I'm kind of like, let me see, I might be like 2 or 3 questions or maybe 4 questions away, from asking GPT all the stuff that I really want to be able to present tonight. And we can kind of go back and forth on which part of it you agree or disagree with. Now I can't get control of my mouse screen.
And maybe in the future we'll revisit Chat GPT, not because of this conversation, but just to go over best uses for it, and how to help us achieve. I think we lost logic again. What we want to using the technology, right? So again, we're going to go back to my chart. To me, it's just the easiest visual that we have, right? And logic will have us right in this area right here. 1970s. Again, these lines are colored this way because they're demonstrative of the origin. The purple line originates in sacred music like gospel, and you end up at contemporary gospel. Secular music and instrumental, that's your bands. And he mentioned bebop, which is the 40s, but those are structured in bands. Rhythm and blues normally doesn't have that many members in those type of groups. And you'll see hip hop is right in the center. And the timeline goes to how the actual music was created. He would have to show you other aspects of the culture, clothing, language, dancing. Now, we could start right now and just use an analogy. Like, you could take um what's his name? Chris Brown, Usher, Michael Jackson, James Brown. People can they can relate to that easily. And that's through observation of how they dance in their interviews or who they say they look up to. That's another part of the culture, the actual dance. And if we stay right here in the center line where you're at, 1970, in this green area, it's going to bring you back to not as syncopated or band orientated as secular music, not as spiritual as gospel or say blues, but more fluid through rock and roll, soul, disco, funk, Parliament Funkadelic. You got James Brown over here in the soul era. You got Marvin Gaye, like right prior to the 70s. You got Motown in this area up here, 50s and 60s. You got Motown, and we didn't even leave this secular part of the screen because it gives you more flexibility. That's why it's so diverse here. It's not as structured as gospel or anything that emanates from bands or large groups of musicians. And that's why hip hop is here. And you can see what it's related to: disco, funk in the 70s. And that's just the music aspect. So I'm sure Logic is going to show us how different ways we dressed, was influenced by, people around the neighborhood, how we talk, how we danced, just all of that. He's going to, hopefully he's going to, this is just the music part. We didn't get into any specific names.
We
Really.
got a little
Can I ask a
time.
question? That's a
Go ahead,
question.
Sure.
All right, so why does it seem like, and this is just, just from the outside looking in, peace to the chat. What's up with y'all? Hey, why does it seem like y'all are in completely disagreement on this point? And I feel like you keep taking Logic's internet down so that you can get in these little factoids and information. And then now he got to come back and
doing
somehow
something.
defend this point. I don't know.
Hey,
in the chat, they saying that it's the ancestors, bro. They saying it's the ancestors.
No. I think and two, Logic is answering the question that is hip hop. No, was hip hop created by African Americans? That's one answer. Do we own it? That's another answer. A question he's trying to answer. Did people contribute and how important this was? So he's trying to, I think, include these three aspects. While not, admitting that the first one, which I believe a lot of people did a good job on, that one, it wasn't necessary to have people participate in the creation. We had all the ingredients. We always have. And two, that we're not saying people did not contribute. So he won't even acquiesce to those 2 points. So I think he's trying to grab the cultural aspect. There's no way everybody didn't do it because everyone was going through the same shit in the Bronx, 71, right after Vietnam. And, you got Dr. King getting killed when in like 68. But go ahead. This is Logic's presentation. I'm just here. I'm just here to shove them around a little bit, but we'll get to the what caused what are some of those things that you say were going on to cause this music to sprout up? And
y'all call me slick. Hits is definitely the slicker than WD-40 right now.
His is my dog.
I'm back in the back.
This is definitely slick. Shout out to my man Hits though. So I think I've done a good job over the last 30 minutes of proving that hip hop is definitively a culture, right? So since it's a culture, let's play by cultural rules. So I ask again, right? How are new cultures formed? Cultural exchange. When people from different regions of the country move into new areas, they bring cultural practices with them that leads to a blending and integration of different traditions, beliefs, and customs. I see.
Now hold on. No. We're gonna deal with them one at a time. Go. No, let's deal with them one because I can't write all this down and definitely can't remember it. Let's go back to good. The first point was people. What was it? No, migration.
Okay. So let's slow down. It says migration, right? It's using migration, but we're talking about cultural exchange, right?
Okay. Yep. A lot of African Americans migrated from the South.
Absolutely.
In the beginning of the 20th century. So that would be my answer to your migration.
There could be multiple African American cultures as part of that blend also.
Okay, go ahead, because I don't want to do a paragraph on each one. Go ahead.
See, I'm reading through it real quickly to get to the good
because
stuff.
Remember, my premise is it's a continuation. So for our migration from the South, to the Northeast, not just the Northeast, but since we're talking about hip hop around the New York area, that would be part of that timeline that I'm speaking about. That would bring the blues and gospel music to the Northeast from that part of the country, the South, and how they sing and dance and worship and those things. But go ahead. So
Yeah,
I definitely can agree to that. I just think,
and ironically, they
Mhm.
include they already know where I'm going with it. They ironically include hip hop in the culture, and it says emerged from African American and Latino communities in the Bronx, influenced by social conditions, music, dance, and urban environment. Look, that's what it says. It's not me. I'm just reading what it says.
don't listen. Audience, do not let him fall back on that Chat GPT. Do not let him.
Oh, you ain't
No,
messing
no,
with
no, no. Hold on.
ChatGPT
Listen, what I'm
anymore.
saying. Do not let him end right there. I didn't say it. It said it. Okay. Use this example too. In the 70s, right, when the skateboard culture was becoming popular, the BMX culture, I think it's late 70s, right? If there's a neighborhood, because I had a bike, wasn't a BMX bike. My mom was definitely not paying for that. But if I live in a neighborhood where they have BMX bikes and this culture or skateboard culture is developing, I'm African American. This is white boys on BMX bikes. This is white boys on skateboards. This is white boys on surfboards. And we're not going to go to Hawaii, do none of that stuff. But I'm just talking about as far as America goes. If I live in that community, they could say skateboarding started in a multiracial community. If there's one other nationality or ethnicity there, technically it started in a multi ethnic community.
Mhm.
Now, group is another thing, right? You could have Mexicans who stick together. We ain't gonna call them the G word, or black people who stick together, Puerto Ricans or Jamaicans or Haitians, and all live in the same neighborhood. But because something came out of that doesn't mean they all participated in the creation or even participated in it.
Yeah,
So
I get that.
you understand what I'm saying? Just because
Oh, I
that's
definitely
like
get that.
them saying, okay, the Bronx and the Bronx is multicultural. Shit, New York City is multicultural.
Yeah, this particular point,
But
I don't
go ahead.
necessarily
So, but go ahead.
100% agree
Gotcha,
with,
gotcha. Okay.
because me personally, I have a hard time seeing Latino culture in hip hop. But I'm literally just reading
He said
what
it.
it
I
says.
didn't.
You heard me say that, right?
Yes.
I can see Latino people in the origins. I don't necessarily see Latino culture in the origins. I don't necessarily think I go that far, but I'm just reading what it
Go ahead.
says here.
No, you
So
got. You
so
got.
let's give it another good question here, right? Let's see. I'm gonna see if it allows me to cheat.
Now, why would you want to cheat, Logic? I don't understand
Well, I
this.
mean, we be cheating, yo. If you ain't trying, you ain't cheating, dog.
Okay. No, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Is that?
Yeah, that what I said? I said it backwards.
Yeah, you said it backwards.
My bad.
But hold on. You had like 10 things there, but yeah, we don't need to go over each one. But go ahead. So we still trying to get back to the premise of hip hop being culture. Now, just for that premise alone, we will go
Man, they
to the
almost
term.
flagged me for that crazy question I asked. Go ahead.
Now that would go back to the term hip hop, because you asked me that before. Me and you had that conversation before. Hip hop. And I said I know it sounds like simple, but they stuck that term on it afterwards. And I think that caught you off guard. That's why I went to the Flyers. Because if it was hip hop in 73, there would be something outside of someone saying that, because there's Flyers. 73, 74, 75, maybe. I don't know about 73. I think there's a Cool Herc 73 flyer. But definitely the late 70s, early 80s, there's all of these flyers. And I didn't see, from looking, I didn't see any that said hip hop show, hip hop performers. So even in the early 80s, and me and you talked about this too. What records were hip hop records what was hip hop music? there was no vinyl records until 79.
Mhm.
So prior to 79, the only hip hop music was performed. It wasn't recorded. It was only distributed on what? Mixtapes. Unless you saw a live show. But there was no formal medium that could be distributed globally. You know, people I think went in the military and had mixtapes and things of that nature. But it wasn't on the radios like that. It wasn't on the charts. There were no record labels for it. And even if there was, how many records you got that came out in 79? Like 3 main ones, but there's probably like 7 or 8 smaller ones. But still, that's not enough to have a whole radio program or record label off. It's not.
So you're saying that the genre isn't quite established just yet, right? It's Rapper's Delight is a rap album, not necessarily
It's
part
a single. It was a single. Rapper's
It's a
Delight
single.
was a
Okay, I
single.
thought it
It's
was a
not
whole
even an
album.
album. It was a single. And Curtis Blow the Brakes, that was a single. King Tim the Third, that was a single. Fatback Band. Then if you Google, see, this is cheat. Everybody thinks you need ChatGPT. You don't. You can Google rap songs 1979. You'll probably get about 10 songs. The argument was always which one came out first that year, not which one just came out first. Which one came out first in 1979? Even if there was 20, that's not enough for a radio program. And they were all separate labels. So you couldn't even have a record label of hip hop music in 1979. You only got one artist singing one song. Like that's so again, I will use flyers. I will use the recordings, the actual records, the vinyl records, the radio stations, program slots where they call rap music. Was it called Top 40? I will use that to show even early 80s, late 70s, the term hip hop wasn't pasted on everything that was technically hip hop. So go ahead.
I mean, I was trying to save some of my guns. I looked down at the time, and man, the time done flew. We've been in here almost an hour already. So you saw me. I tried to cheat, right? I tried to get ChatGPT to turn pseudo, and they wouldn't. They just wouldn't. They like literally refused. They gave me the argument, but then they end up summarizing it with, while it is possible to construct an argument that downplays the Latino contributions to origins of hip hop by focusing solely on African American influences and innovators, such an argument would be incomplete and misleading. Hip hop is a product of a diverse and collaborative cultural environment, and acknowledging the contributions of all involved communities is crucial for an accurate understanding of its history. Now that's just what it says. So this is what I mean by the evidence is starting to kind of like not allow me to acquiesce to a complete 100% African American creation. It's not allowing me to do it. Like I want to be there with you, right? I'm anxious to see what I can learn from the flyers, right? So like I can make a distinction between which I showed bebop, right? Bebop and jazz. Bebop and jazz are not considered cultures, right? They're considered music. You're considered like bebop an offshoot of jazz. You would consider blues just a genre of music. But since hip hop encompasses something a little bit larger, since it's actually a culture, I think you run into harder times when you try to compare them both in the same type of way, right? And I'm gonna even show why that's a little bit of an issue. But go ahead.
All right. I think we had a discussion about what would be the best time frame to like what would be a good date, right? Me and you talked about that someone can say even white people contributed to the creation of hip hop, right? And that when all of these things were congealed into a quote unquote culture with the name stamped on it, me and you had this conversation. Would it be 75? Grandmaster Flash says hip hop started with him. in 75, 76 because he had all of the elements in his group. He was the DJ. He had rappers, not MCs. MCs and rappers ain't the same thing. That's another distinction we have to make. A rapper can be an MC, but an MC may not necessarily be a rapper, right? So Flash says in 75, 76, he has all the elements. He has dancers, he's a DJ, he has rappers. Obviously, ain't nobody spray painting inside the club or the party, so we ain't gonna add graffiti in there because that's not an indoor, you know, activity. But he would say it starts with him. But if we look at all of the literature, like from flyers from the parties, you can't get no more, and I don't want to say primary source than that. But if you're having a party, you're throwing a party with particular people who are considered rappers, DJs, and then you got the breakdancers coming in on that, those would be considered hip hop parties. You don't see that on the flyers. You don't in the 70s. It's rare unless Pete Nice don't have it in his catalog, or if people are, you pull one or two out, you would have to show that even then everyone saw hip hop as one thing. So that to say, if you start in 80, you could say, and I'm not downplaying Latinos or Caribbeans, you could say a lot of different cultures contributed to it because now it's established. It's established now. We still haven't shown that the word hip hop was relevant or prevalent at 73 when it was supposed to be created, or 75 when Flash said he created. Well, not created it, but he started it because he had all of the elements. Or 79 when the actual vinyl records come out and it gets airplay on the radio and the rest of the world can hear it. And the flyers, I'm gonna send myself the flyers, like from the group from my city here, Newburgh, like 60 miles north of the city. It's like the suburbs, right? This is the 80s, and they're breakdancing. And we had that conversation too. Who's breakdancing? Teenagers or 25-year-old men? You're not doing that. Who's spray painting on wall? Young people, kids, 25, 30-year-old men. By the 80s, you're literally at the almost third generation of people, young people, doing this. The older people either got out of it altogether or went on to make records, actual records. They're not, I'm not gonna say they're not spray painting on trains, but like the whole graffiti thing, that's a separate conversation, could be. But again, it's if I'm showing continuation, that it's not necessary. You're talking about bebop and jazz. Those are almost structured kind of musics, and a lot of times requires a larger band. That was under the syncopated category that I have, like a marching band, right? I'll just use this analogy. A marching band, you have a snare drum, just say a kick drum, somebody on the cymbals, somebody on toms. But in a music band, the drummer has all that in front of him. It's one person. I don't need 18 people like a marching band, a 10-piece horn section. No, I got a synthesizer. I don't even need a horn section. So hip hop is not out of the jazz and big band thing that you keep attaching bebop to or swing music. No, hip hop is out of rock and roll, funk, blues, the James Browns, all of that good stuff. The dances is out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't move it over to that structured, more structured thing, because you wouldn't have funk, you wouldn't even have disco too much then if you stayed on that side. So you got to, that's the center of the, that chart I was showing, where you got more freedom to freestyle. It's not as syncopated and on beat, or not syncopated, but it's not as on beat as 1, 2, 3, 4 structure. You got more freedom. House music. I'm looking at my chart. Go-go music, New Jack Swing, that R&B music, that follows a separate vein. So I see, where, but you don't have to leave that vein. Stay right in that vein. And just because someone lived next door to me doesn't mean they're going through what I went through. James Brown record, what? Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. You could have said I'm brown and I'm proud. I'm New York and I'm proud. Alberta, Georgia, or Augusta, Georgia. I think he's from Augusta. I don't know. Or maybe his museum is in Augusta. Or he could say Georgia and I'm proud. He could have said, they could say all of these different things. Black power. If everyone's going through the same thing. There's poor white people, there's poor Jewish people, there's poor Irish people. So you know, to the Black Panthers, to distinguish certain things. It's just it's distinguishable. And again, you could follow these people back. You could follow the bands back. You could follow Stevie Wonder back. You could follow the Commodores back, the Temptations, when they switched from Motown music to more socially conscious music right after the war in the early 70s. You got off that old My Girl stuff and the whole shoe bop, doo bop, you know, it's a lot going on. So it's not necessarily about your neighbor. So I don't think that's automatic. It's not automatic. And you got the hippie movement, yeah, peace, love, the flower, power, and all that, right? Anti-war.
So how about this? Would you think that there's no, like, absolutely zero Latino musical influences in funk and disco?
If we use Dr. Cologne's argument, right? Not wholly his argument, but a sentiment that I get sometimes is that if I had a conga player in my funk band and the conga player was Cuban, that Cubans has something to do with my funk music, as opposed to a Cuban player playing the congas in my funk band. You had people like Bootsy Collins, right, who played a bass guitar more creative and more funk style than a traditional bass player, right? Plucking it. So he's playing, and he's under James Brown briefly, right? So just even in our own culture, you had people. Bootsy he didn't stay with James Brown. He moves on. Then you get Parliament Funkadelic with the spaceships and everything super funky now. So instrumentation doesn't necessarily trump the kind of music you're playing. If I'm playing rock and roll and I need a lead guitar player and you're Japanese, I'm not trying to have Japanese music. I'm playing rock and roll. But you play the type of lead guitar, electric guitar, whatever it is, and you happen to be Japanese and you're good at the kind of music I need you to play for me. It's different if you came in and said, okay, from my country, this is how we play. I know you're doing funk music, but we're going to add this all on top of your funk. Now it's not funk no more. That was the difference between like soul and funk. They're not the same thing. They're not. People,
I get you.
I get connected, but
it was just a question, bro.
You know, James and Bootsy had some problems because Bootsy was funky. James Brown is funky, but
so are there no like Latino rhythms in funk, or there's none?
No, I never said that. No, there's music and there's influence and there's contribution. Like there's only so many keys on a piano, right?
So hold up a second. Hold up a second. So I mean, yes, I knew that would be, that would be a little bit of a stretch, and you couldn't go that definitive, right? So I think whereas the conversation, these two particular conversations separate, is when you're talking about origins, right? You're talking about the origins of funk and what was the other one? Not soul.
Soul, no funk, soul.
It was funk and soul. Yeah, I wouldn't put any of those Latino rhythms in the origins of funk and soul, but they are, it seems as though there are some of that in the actual music, and in 1973, it might not be, unrealistic that some of those rhythms might have been played at some of those parties. I'm going into Dr. Cologne's argument, and I'm attempting to distinguish my argument from his, but I could see where that could be plausible. I would say that that part of his argument may not be as much of a stretch as it first seemed, but I could see where some of that might actually be true. Right now, again, I'm a double down and say I don't see a lot of Latino culture in the origins of hip hop, but I feel like there might be some Latino rhythms, instruments being played in disco and funk and soul. So I like what you're saying there. I highlighted something here just real briefly. I'm gonna go through it. Defining the specific components that mark the beginning of a culture may be subjective, and I think we're both kind of touching on that. Whereas you could easily go anywhere from 1973 all the way to like 82, based on how you want to date the start of hip hop, depending on how you view it. There could be, you could have your own particular reasons that might have you more slanted towards the 1973 party. You might go all the way up to Africa Bambaataa, giving it the elements, and anywhere in between. You could say Cowboy when he says it in a lyric in 1979. You could be there. You could be with Charlie Chase and Cold Crush in 1976. You could be all over the place. I like the 1976 because like to me, I think that it doesn't blow and get popular without these battles and the dance offs, right? So to me, it's kind of starts from there and kind of moves forward, and then from there you might have some people adding on to it and adding some more of the political and social implications, which later on become even more important. But I say that all of that stuff is necessary, right? It's some of it's more precursor than actual hip hop. But when we bring up this particular term about the pure hip hop, I think that that's really cloudy, right? I don't know what in the world that could possibly mean, because it's if the transition is gradual. You know what I'm saying? At that 73 party, if he's not playing hip hop music, he's got to be playing funk, soul, and disco. He has to be, if there's no genre called hip hop. And then later on, he comes across an MC who's not quite a rapper, but an MC. How'd you say the other day? He might be on the mic telling people, "Hey, man, if you're out there
blocking the driveway,
your car blocking the driveway." We don't know what we was out there saying,
or it's a master ceremony. That's what. Yeah,
right? So this is all precursors to a later thing that would then eventually become called hip hop. So it's such a nuanced conversation, right? You got to have so many layers of information to make any one of these arguments, right? And I think that was a part of the fun and being able to look it up and eventually kind of put it to bed, put it in a little headlock and choke on it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So,
but also you had bands, right? Say funk bands that had white members in the band, black and white people, like Sly and the Family Stone. Let's just say that from I think maybe West Coast. They had white members in the band.
Pause.
No one says funk music is not an African American music because they had white members in the band, right? Or if you have bebop,
you got the average white band, right?
What's that? What do you say?
You got the average white band, right? They funk.
Yeah. Look at their membership. The Jimmy Castor bunch that everybody keeps bringing up that makes the break beat and all that. Look at the band members. But it's a funk band. That's people who come into the arena to play funk music. Like if I play drums and I want to join a funk band, I got to play the drums that's with that genre of music. I could play jazz drums. I could play rock and roll drums. I could play all of these different type of drums. But if I join this band, I'm playing that kind of music. That's it. That it's you come into the culture. You didn't create. That would be like saying right now, 30 years when they look back, Eminem arguably people for y'all go crazy, the best rapper. Now, because he came into the culture and had such a huge impact, years down the line now, they may say him and I can't think of no other popular white rappers, whatever, right now. But that they were there at the creation of it, that they were one of the main catalysts. No. That's why the timeline is important. You could participate in something that's going on. Creating something new is not difficult, but that's different. It's extremely different. I'm gonna create something new. And a lot of our own artists don't say that. They say, I built on the person who came before me. No one jumps out the window and says, yeah, damn all of that. Damn the musical scale, damn instrumentation, damn rhythm, damn melody, damn all that. I'm just gonna freestyle and see what I come up with. You probably get laughed out of wherever you at. You build on what's what you're interested in. So, and if you look at the DJs, take the quote unquote 3, 4 fathers. You can't get James Brown away from them. They all say that. Flash, Herc, and Bambaataa all say James Brown. Who listens to James Brown? That would be like you saying, oh, black people only listen to James Brown because Herc played it. That's backwards. He played it because black people listened to it. Shit, black people made it. That's a better formula to look at it. Like, I'm doing what these people are already doing. I'm contributing. And like Charlie Chase, he was a dance music DJ, became a hip hop DJ or rap DJ. That's different. He didn't show up to the Cold Crush Brothers and say, hey, here go my salsa records. Here go my merengue records. Here go my dad's, or my mom's record collection. Y'all rap over this. No, I'm going to play what y'all already rapping to. And he was super good at it. That's the part I'm talking about. Damn the contribution. Let's look at how good these people were.
Come on, man.
Y'all don't know, Flash is my hero. Damn what everybody talking about. With no Flash, a lot of the ways we DJ now, he's a technician. That's, James Brown changed instrumentation. Next time you get a chance, look up James Brown. Just Google James Brown and On the One. He changed how bands hit that first note. Everybody's not supposed to be on the one. The bass player, the drummer, the guitar player, the horns. James wanted everybody on the one. Not 1, 2, 3, 4. One downbeat, upbeat, down. No, everybody's on the one. They thought he was nuts. Like, that's not how you. Okay, that's the Godfather now.
James is a bad dude, bro.
That's when you change something, but he didn't create no new instruments to do that. He still had to use the current technology at the time, the instruments and the band. He just changed how they play music, and that's your springboard into funk, from soul into funk.
Only got I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, you good. Go ahead.
I only got 2 more screen shares that I'm gonna share with everybody, and then we're gonna have a little general conversation. I'm gonna have people from the audience come up and be able to put their spin on the conversation. You know what I'm saying? They're welcome to try to bring some receipts, and I know how it goes, but it is what it is. Let's see. So I asked another question to ChatGPT, right? Can the social implications of hip hop be removed from its history, right? Can you accurately talk about it without bringing up how important the social implication was? And I'm gonna just go to the conclusion and keep it short. Removing the social and political implications from the history of hip hop would strip the genre of its core essence and context. These elements are not just peripheral, but are essential to understanding hip hop's origins, development, and impact. Hip hop is more than music. It is a cultural movement deeply intertwined with social and political realities. Its history and significance cannot be fully appreciated without acknowledging these dimensions. So I'm just, I know that was a little off topic for what we were talking about, but I'm hammering home I totally agree with ChatGPT's outlook on what is this pure hip hop that people speak on, right? When they're talking about this pure hip hop, this pure part of this cultural movement, you can't remove the social and political implications, right? So it's saying that it should be something empowering to Black people, right? That's the impression I get out of that. That's how I interpret it. excuse me, what they're actually excuse me, what they're actually telling us to focus on when we're looking at hip hop.
In the audience, if y'all have questions, could you do us a favor and maybe Brass could help us out if he's still around? Put hashtag question. So when we scroll through, because we're probably not going to have 10 people on the stage, right? But if you have a question and you're in the chat, just put hashtag question, and hopefully, you know, me and Logic could speak to it. Now, the social part or the cultural part, it's not giving specifics, right? And you can't have set 1970 to 1980. You're going to have to pick either early 70s or late 70s, right? So early 70s is what's going on. You have whole music industries kind of changing, that's speaking to what's going on in the world. Whether it's like Marvin Gaye's song about the war, Mercy Mercy Me, and all of those songs. So you have R&B singers speaking to it. You have James Brown performing a concert up in Boston, I believe, after Martin Luther King was killed. So you have these, and you know, that's the Northeast right here for now, with just one or two topics. But you can look up what was going on at the time and who was also speaking to it, whether it was actors or musicians. If you take the tenets of hip hop, just take the tenets, DJing. If I'm DJing for people to break dance, how the hell is that got anything other to do than me making $1 DJing and you dancing to have some fun, or someone rapping on the mic? And remember, this is pre-records. There's no records here. They're not recording. There's no album going out with a rapper talking about, oh, I'm against the war, I'm against segregation, I'm against anything. No, they're at parties. They're at parks. They're outside, you know, doing block jams. So you would have to, you know, give me some more specific, you know, social ills that breakdancing or Grandmaster Flash catching beats so Raheem could rap over or whatever like that. That's why I don't think it was born from the social ills. You know,
I get
you
that.
have, you know, and I know that part that's popular is Africa Bambaataa brought the gangs together, blah, 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 blah. You know, and that's where hip hop came from, him turning gang members into dance battle groups and all that for what a part of the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
And for a certain group, everybody wasn't in a gang, right? Everybody wasn't 20 years old enough to really have I guess societal trauma that, oh, I need to change what's going on. Kids are being kids. I think afterwards you get songs like The Message, and you get content with people saying I used hip hop to bring people together or to spread the message. And Africa Bambaataa made a song with James Brown, peace. I guess the hook is peace, unity, love, and having fun. I don't know the name of the song. So there's your direct. They're next to each other in a studio singing that, you know, singing a song. That's his direct influence right next to him. Fast forward, you got Pete Rock doing interviews with Clyde Stubblefield, James Brown's drummer. Pete Rock was one of the people, you know, on the Caribbean side of this, but he's soul brother number one. I'm confused. So who's your influence?
Quick question. How y'all want to do these questions? I had to log in on my tablet. How y'all want to do these questions?
Yell them out. Yell them out. And
I want to start with Raymond Jackson's.
I don't want to cut y'all wisdom. That's all.
No, go ahead. No. We're gonna answer questions because we got an hour, 20 minutes. Go ahead.
I'm gonna put no. Go ahead, Logic, while I find the question.
So, in my opinion, I think that there's a separation when we're talking about the precursors to hip hop, which I'm considering that 1973 party from Herc. I'm gonna consider that a precursor, because at that point in time, even Hits had to agree that there's no established genre of hip hop. He might have been up there DJing, he might have been up there, mixing or extending the break or doing his technique that he continued throughout the 70s. But at that point in time, there's no raps, there's no albums a part of the genre of hip hop that he would have been playing, right? So even as you fast forward into the mid 70s, where you start seeing the B-boys and you actually start getting the rap battles and the dance battles at that time, right? I would say that you now are beginning to see what is recognizable as hip hop, right? And during that time, you have the Cold Cuts crew who have a Latino rapper. You have who was Crazy Legs group? It was Rocksteady Crew, right? You got Crazy Legs who popularized breakdancing all over the world. You got people like that who have heavy influences into the explosion of hip hop all over the nation and the world, and it's becoming identifiable as what it is. It's still not necessarily a music genre, but at least it's starting to separate itself from other things that people are doing, right? So at that point in time, I think that that's where you start to be able to see what actually hip hop is. And during that particular time, you do get contributions from people like Charlie Chase. You got Prince Whipple Whip. You got Disco Wiz. You got Crazy Legs. You got Puerto Ricans. At that point in time, they're in the game. So for me, I understand that trying to identify the origins of hip hop is subjective, right? So for me, I look at that 1973 party, like I say, as precursor. And as you move into 75, 76, you're starting to get, a better, more distinguishable thing that's actually going on. And by that time, you do have, like Latino people participating in hip hop, so that to me firmly puts them in the origins to me. All right. So that's where I would put, that's what I would say these contributions come from early enough in the process to be considered a part of the origins.
All right, look, y'all ready for these questions? Because they got a lot. Y'all told them questions, and they put a lot of questions in here. So I'm going to give them to you rapid fire. Shouts to True Savior. True Savior says that, do you understand that Crazy Legs said breaking even comes from African-American culture?
No problem with that.
Okay. Moving forward.
Yeah, and let me clarify.
It's a lot of questions, so
yeah.
I'll
be right back. Go ahead. I'll be right back.
Give me a small amount of context.
Nah, you good.
It's a lot of questions. Yeah, it's a lot.
I want to get back to True Savior because he's kind enough to be on the show, but I can do it later.
Yeah, we're gonna talk to him in the Discord tomorrow. By the way, that's letting y'all know live. He's coming in Discord. We're gonna have a conversation tomorrow. Let me go back up to the questions. Okay, Nick Ombre, shouts to you. She's a mod. It says, why is it so hard to give Black Americans their credit for creating hip hop? Are you hurt FBA's created something that influenced the world again?
No, I don't. It don't hurt at all. It don't hurt at all. And as a matter of fact, I think that it's a beautiful thing, no matter how it turns out. Right? I think it is just as important to just speak the truth about what it is than try to include narrative of hip hop only belonging to one cultural group as a part of some larger agenda that I'm trying to accomplish. I think that that's where it becomes a little bit of an overreach and a little bit unnecessary. So that's why it don't hurt. It definitely doesn't hurt. I don't want to necessarily dig that far into that particular topic, but I think that we have a lot of things in African American the community for us to be proud of. And if hip hop is ultimately a collaboration, I don't think that diminishes anything that we have or have done to be proud of at all.
Okay. Melanated Warrior, then I'm going to go back and quick answers because they asking you a lot of questions, brother. Why does he keep babbling about 73 when Herc is on record saying that hip hop started in 1970? What would be your answer to that?
What genre of music was he playing in 1970? Who was rapping? who was the MC? At 1970 all the elements can't be present. It's just not possible, right? You don't have Coke La Rock until after 1973, so you automatically don't have MCs. You automatically don't have b-boys. It doesn't. If you look at it chronologically, it can't happen that way. So whatever you're looking at before 1973, and I would consider, me personally, I'm gonna consider even that as a part of the precursor, because there's no established genre of hip hop. Not yet. You don't get an established genre of hip hop until like we were agreeing about 1979, if not later than that. So
step forward a little bit. Your background is cutting off like half your face. All right, so question for Logic. What specifically did, from Dr. Sinister, piece to you, specifically did Latinos, contribute to hip hop at its origin or before 1975? So what specifically did Latinos contribute to hip hop at its origin or before 1975? While Hits is trying to sabotage you by sharing his screen right now.
Yeah, I would think that before that they're not on the scene.
I'm trying to let him answer the question.
They're not on the scene in any significant way before that, right? So that's what I'm hammering home.
But he's saying specifically. So what specifically did they contribute?
Yeah, nothing. Short answer.
So Latinos did not contribute anything to hip hop at its origin or before 1975.
Before 1975, I don't see anything. Yeah, I don't think there's anything.
And also the reason I'm putting this up is why Logic is speaking. People can see these are flyers, and we're still looking for, not we, just in general, the term hip hop. Throughout the 70s, these flyers and even the early 80s were looking for the term hip hop on the flyer as a hip hop event or hip hop performers. And all we're seeing mainly, and I'm not saying this is every flyer in the world, but it's a damn good collection, right? We're not seeing that term even prevalent, even though all of the players are the same, the Hercs, the Flashes, the Furious Fives, all of that. So I'm just scrolling. So, and I think people brass can do more than one thing. Like harass, harass Logic and look at the screen.
Yeah, I'm a harass him. So Logic. So all right, I'm not getting any more. There was a lot, but the chat is cut off for me. It stops at 9:19 p.m. So if y'all see anything before 9:19 p.m.,
all right, let me get this off the screen.
That would help. I can't see anything on my tablet before 9:19. If y'all had questions before that, then answer them. Benjamin Gunn says, "Could you consider a show?" All right, yeah. Just to address something that y'all saying. We're trying to do the shows. We've reached out to Red Supreme. We've reached out to Intelligent Hood. We've reached out to all these people, and I appreciate it. But if you guys have like any outside connection or anything, we've tried. But to be quite honest, and this is not being mean or whatever, they don't really respond to inquiries in their emails and stuff like that. But we'll keep trying because, as you see, we're being very objective when it comes to this conversation. We've had Dr. Cologne on the channel. We've had True Savior on the channel. We've had a lot of people on the channel give different perspectives. Logic has a perspective. That's why, when he's president of the company, he gets to present it however he wants, no different than anybody else. But we're trying to get a lot of different perspectives. But to be quite honest, it's not as easy as maybe one would think when it comes to the back chat and the professionalism part of it. I don't see any other questions, but thank you, Benjamin Gunn. I appreciate it. Chef now somehow likes you for some reason. So I don't know what that
I might
means.
be doing something wrong now, man. If Chef agreeing with me, I might be doing something wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. You might want to.
Let me go ahead and re-answer that, right? Because they had to be playing They had to be playing something at that 1973 party.
What are you re-answering? What are you re-answering?
I'm re-answering what contributions did the Latinos make before 1975, right? Okay, so since they had to be playing something at that 1973 party, and that's the something that they had to be playing could not be at that point in time be considered a part of the genre of music that we know as hip hop. And some of that music that they were playing could have very well have had some Latino rhythms in it. It could have very well had some Latino instruments in it. There you go.
I got another question. I'm reading them from my phone, so I can't put it on the screen. But Logic's Benjamin Gunn asks, what tangible benefits did FBA gain from the inclusion and acceptance of New Yorkers within hip hop? Like, why would FBA have to say this? What do they hope to gain by making this up? I'm assuming that's what he's saying.
Now you're being historically accurate, right? And I can reverse that question. I think the better question comes from reversing that back onto itself, right? What do now African Americans gain by removing Latinos from? Do they now have a larger authority of the commercialization of hip hop? Do they now, like, we already dominate the entertainment part of it. We already represent most of the rappers, most of the dancers. I mean, what do we gain?
Now hold on right there. Now, see what you said, right? How can you remove people who are photographed and documented as being a part of something, right? And that's what I was saying about Logic before. Maybe not intentionally, but sometimes we waver from the original question. The originators, then contributors. No one could possibly remove Charlie Chase from the Cold Crush Brothers. That's insanity. So that it's not about removing. That's one. Two, it was about origination. Right? So those are two separate things. And now I think I don't know if Brass brought it up. Oh no, Logic just brought it up. The majority of, let's just say, rappers are African Americans, right? I think you said that, Logic. Mm-hmm. So that would, if you jump right now to 2024 from 1975, where would the influence be? The DJ is pretty much gone. The DJs got swapped for record producers, beat makers, and producers. So the DJ is gone. There's no graffiti. The young people are still dancing and coming up with new dances all over the country. They all on TikTok. And I'm not saying there's no good other ethnicities doing dances, but we know who got the funky dances, right? It's not a far cry right now that it's a continuation of what's been going on. You don't got to go back. You can look right now. Or in California, because they have a heavy Central and Mexican influence, Central American and Mexican influence, we would be acting more like them. New York is super diverse, so we would be acting like everyone except our grandparents. I'm not that different than my grandparents. I don't speak a different language. I don't eat different food per se. I don't talk differently. And the music is following the music that they listen to. I'm not in any other culture like that in general. Turntables right there. So
they want you to answer the question though, Logic, before you return the question back. And then somebody named Brass asked the question that we're going to put up in a second. So what is your actual question? I mean, what is your
that particular party is a landmark in time, right? That does not represent hip hop. It doesn't represent all the elements of hip hop being formed in one place at one time. I explained that he's a DJ at that party with no Coca Rock, right? There's obviously no, well, I'm gonna say obviously, but I like to think that there was no graffiti going on down there, right? They hadn't formed B-boys yet. They're not in a dance battle. So it could only be him playing funk or soul or disco music. So the real question that you have to answer first before you understand what I'm really saying is, when was hip hop actually created? When does the genre of music called hip hop start? Did it start in 1973, or was 1973 considered a hip hop party? Right? Because he could not have been playing hip hop music in 1973. So once you understand that, then I'm not reaching by saying that all the elements aren't there. That's not unreasonable, right? It's not unreasonable to say that once you get to 1975, 1976, where you do have people like Charlie Chase, you do have the people like Crazy Legs and the Rocksteady crew. I keep forgetting their crew. When you actually do have these people on the scene, that what they're doing looks a lot more like hip hop. That's when you have parties with DJs, with rappers, with B-boys, people breakdancing, right? You can see all these different elements in one place at one time.
No, don't do it, Hits. Let him cook. Let him speak.
No, he
Hits.
cooked. No, he cooked.
Let Hits cook. Let Hits cook.
No, because we got to keep moving. And see, the sleight of hand was, and that's why we had that little discussion early on about changing the title of the show. Is hip hop culture or is hip hop music? See, he's when he wants to, he can bounce from culture to music. My premise was from the beginning, if you follow the timeline, all of the elements, regardless of what you call it, follow an African-American timeline. Then he'll say, oh, if you're talking about music, and you know, me and Logic have these conversations. I try to push Logic to go later. Go later. Go 79. Go 80.
Now you did tell me that. You did tell me that. Now, first of all, I don't bounce at all.
Try to help my bro out. Yeah.
Hold on. We losing questions. We losing questions. Answer quickly, and then let's move, because we got a lot of good questions. Go ahead, finish your point.
I don't want to let that go. I'm glad you let me go. It can't go beyond the music if it doesn't also include the music hits. It has to also include the music to go beyond the music, and the music wasn't established yet. So there's that. That's not a sleight of hand. That's true.
Yeah, your face.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Watch this. Hold on, just watch this real quick. Hold on, I'm done. Watch this real quick, like 8 seconds.
Okay,
Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight was a remake of Chic Good Times, which came out in the 70s. There you go. Go ahead.
So
okay.
That was music that was out before. Even when they made a record, it was based off something else. Go ahead.
This is fire. All right. Brass asked, I don't know who that is. He said, what is your overall feeling about the FBA movement, Logic? Because see, now, because Brass, I know that guy personally. I'm just saying.
He's horrible.
My question would be, yeah, he's terrible. But my question, the reason why I'm asking is because you didn't say in the title, proof FBA is wrong. You didn't say proof that Black people or African Americans are wrong about hip hop. You said FBA specifically. So my question to you would be, what would be the reason for singling them out? Are you not necessarily, and I'm not trying to start nothing, but are you not like a fan of what they're talking about? Or are you not because FBA and Black are, I'm assuming, I don't know, somebody can educate us. But do you have an issue with the FBA movement, or just them saying that hip hop is FBA? That's my question.
I put FBA in the title as a way to invite FBA in, contribute to the show and, ask questions. Me personally, like, I don't have any real personal animosity towards the FBA. My personal critiques would probably end that I think that it's activism, and I think that people don't necessarily maybe like they're not doing activism in the way that I think is the best way to do it. But I feel like to some degree, oddly enough, we need all of that together, combined, into bring all the ideas to the table, scrutinize them, and make it better, right? But I see it as, I see it as maybe, people kind of like following an ideology that may not necessarily be the most prudent way of going about activism, but no serious animosity. I think like anything else, I can have some critiques about it and not hate it.
Okay. Why do all non-black groups who come into hip hop? Oh no, we did that already. True Savior, friend to the channel, says, doesn't Logic understand that hip hop culture is a social construct? Do you think that hip hop is a social construct, or do you think that it's an actual culture?
Aren't stop signs social constructs, and money and everything around us like a social construct? I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Okay.
I really don't. I really don't. Black people are a social construct. I don't understand how to answer that question.
Okay, Mr. Roguish Neighborhood, why is it difficult for you to acknowledge hip hop as a black cultural composite?
Cultural composite. I'm not sure what he means by that. Why is it difficult for you to acknowledge hip hop as a black cultural composite? I'm assuming that he's saying purely a black thing, and it's not difficult. As a matter of fact, contrary to probably what it seems, I would love for it to just be a black thing. For no other reasons because I'm selfish. And, I want all my toys at one time. But from what it looks like, the evidence just doesn't necessarily allow me to do that, and the experts don't seem to really allow me to do that. When I pulled up, I actually asked ChatGPT, what are the 10 best books on the origins of hip hop? Sees me asking this question right.
And for those that's asking, Logic is Southern New Orleans. They got you coming from all over the place, bro. Pause.
That's
But
cool.
he's from hey, peace to you. Yeah, peace to you, Rush. Peace to Roguish. What's going on?
I'm a Jew-Egyptian.
Are you gonna drop the link? Are you gonna drop the link in the chat at some point?
Yeah, I can drop the link. I can drop the
yeah.
link. Right. So here you see me asking, what are the best books on the origins of hip hop? Without going through all of that, once I asked that, I asked it again, do any of these books remove Latinos from the origins of hip hop? And it says none of these books listed does that. I mean, so it's not just me. Like the academics don't agree with that either. I mean, I'm just reading what it says. At some point, see, I think there's
nowhere does it say Latinos created hip hop. And see, that's where you keep dancing around these questions with people at. The argument was that Latinos create hip hop, and would there be any hip hop without the contribution of Latinos and Caribbeans?
Link is in the chat.
That was the original conversation, right? So participation and just like we said, that would be like saying, and now that we're at the point, not in the conversation on here, but in general, like on YouTube, if James Brown got a white player in his band, or Fats Domino's drummer was white, now you're going to you can literally remove all of these genres of music now. And I'm not saying do or don't, but that's what you could do. You can lose blues, you can lose rock and roll, you can lose rap, you can lose techno, house, if that's the parameter. And see, that's a discussion. We can't have that parameter just for hip hop and then not anything else. And we want to use your argument, music, the genre of music, not the culture. You got to pick one. You can't say, they're both the same. No, they're not both the same. Because a genre of music has particular frameworks that the songs work in. That's how it's that genre of music. If I'm going to get a rock and roll record, I don't want no jazz record. I don't want no hip hop record. I want a rock and roll record. But since there ain't no genre because the drummer was this color and the bass guitar player was that color, it's insanity. So that's the separation on a music and a genre side. The culture side, we've shown. It's a continuation of our culture. If
Who-
not,
who-
we take the take the off ramp and just you didn't show us the off ramp. Show us
What
the
you mean
off
by
ramp from the conga and where we end up at. Show us Charlie Chase's off ramp. Go find his parents, go find his grandparents, go find out what kind of music they listen to, how they dressed, how they spoke, and you should end up there if you follow your timeline back. I'm saying you will not end up at Charlie Chase's grandparents' house. If you follow hip hop back, you won't. Charlie Chase will end up at my grandmother's house. That's what will happen.
I love it. Right now,
There's questions in
Next
the
question,
chat here for
baby.
both of y'all. Yeah, there's questions in the chat here for both of y'all. The link is in the chat for y'all to come up. Go ahead and speak your point, Logic. Then I get to the next
just
question.
I love it. Right, and again, I'm on your side. And I wish that was the entire story, but it seems here that the experts say that none of these books listed earlier claim that African Americans created hip hop. In fact, these books generally acknowledge the contributions of various cultural groups, including Latinos, to the development of hip hop. I mean,
Read the books. Don't read the titles. Go get the books
I'm
and
not
read
reading
them,
the book. I mean,
and
look,
you'll see it. No, don't read
That
the
go,
I'm
title.
not
that
gonna
goes
read
to
all 10 of those
goes
books.
to the next question. That
Go
goes
ahead.
to the
Next
next question.
Go ahead.
Ask ChatGPT. What is a statement? Ask ChatGPT if one of those books mentions Disco King Mario, and someone else said, real quick for you, Logic, and then it's a question for both of y'all. Logic, did you do any? You in the dark, Logic. Did you do any research on this outside of ChatGPT?
Yeah, I was definitely looking at articles. I went to museums, and that's about the extent of it. Articles and museums.
Okay. Would you? Okay. And there was a question for both of y'all. I can't see you at all, Logic. Maybe I don't know if it's my tablet. I can't see you. Okay. True Savior. When was hip hop born, and did music start at its birth? But the original question was for both of you. Name one hip hop song in the 1970s. Where's that question at? That was from Truth. Here it is, 9:37 p.m. For both of you, name one hip hop song in the 1970s.
Now, I would only ask one clarification, but I will name a couple. Rapper's Delight, Rapping and Rhyming, The Breaks. There's like 8 more. If you Google it, you'll see it. But again, even if you pick 79, the argument was, first of all, most of them aren't on major labels. Like Sugar Hill was a bigger label than the rest of them, right? So that's why Rappers Delight was more prominent. Then the argument was, and this is how specific it got. What month did it come out in 1979? So there's more than 3 or 4. King Tim III. I think I said so. There's 4, and those are actual vinyl records that were recorded in the studio and produced. So a song could be Grandmaster Flash and them doing the show. They sing the song. But the vinyl on that doesn't hit till like 79, where you actually can, send it to DJs and all of that, like, to radio stations, whatever, or sell it in the store.
Okay, so now Logic, what do you say? What do you say when? Because you made an interesting point. I think that's why Truth probably asked. When was, if hip hop wasn't born at the party with Kool Herc at the jam? Because they said, someone in the chat said they didn't call it hip hop. They said we were going to the jams. When do you have hip hop being born, and did rap music start at its birth, whenever that is? So first question, when was hip hop born to you, if it didn't start when Kool Herc at that party?
I think, man, see, this question is like really nuanced, right? I think rapping, if I'm not mistaken, Hits actually put me onto this. Rapping starts with the rappers that Flash has on his groups, the Fantastic Five, right? I think those are like your first, the Furious Five. Those are like
no.
the
So
first.
answer the first question. When do you say that hip hop was born?
I'm saying it's born. I'm saying it's born when you start seeing rap battles and dance battles, and I think that's in between 75 and 76, one of those 2 years.
So you're
And
saying hip hop didn't start until 75, 76, right?
Yep.
Okay. Did rapping start at the time that you say hip hop started?
No, what did it? Is that the same time frame hits?
No, I think the discussion was too, and I used the Flash for a reason. If he says it starts with him, it had a lot to do with how he played the records continuously. Herc played break beats; they weren't on time. So as he switched records, a lot of time it wasn't on beat. Flash is saying in 75, 76, when he perfects his technique, the quick mix theory, he's able to play the record on beat. So his two rappers, I think, to start off with, then eventually become a five, can rap on the beat, not just talk on the mic. They actually can, perform the song on beat, and they each can take a turn and say a rap. So I that's what Flash says. I don't think that was the first performance of people rapping on beat, but that's why I said, are you going to talk about songs or are you going to talk about vinyl records? The vinyl doesn't come until 79.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you say hip? Okay, so Logic, you say hip hop was born in 75, 76. Someone in the chat said that's what Dr. Cologne says also. You're saying rapping starts somewhere after that. Hits. When do you say hip hop was born? If it wasn't for at Cool Herc's Jam on Sedgwick Avenue, when do you say that it started?
I'm saying the term was stamped on it probably late 70s. And I'm going to show a flyer real
So
quick.
like 78, 79?
Probably later than that. And I'm gonna just show the flyer.
Can't
That's
go
what I was
later in
showing.
the
No,
70s to
hold on, listen,
79.
hold on, let me finish. That's why if you look at the Instagram I was showing a lot of 70s flyers. So if Logic is saying it's hip hop and he's on the street corner or he's at the jam or the party, but it's not being advertised as that. The artists aren't being listed as hip hop artists. The dancers aren't hip hop performers. It's not a hip hop genre of music in category. That stamp, I believe, the word could have been around, but it wasn't stamped on it until later. My premise was always the details of hip hop is just a continuation of what we do, how we dance, the music we like, how we dress, how we talk. That's always going to be there. You can stamp hip hop on it whatever you want. Let me share my flyer real quick just to give people an example of what I was talking about. Hold on, give me a window right here. All right.
And y'all got good questions. Hit the link and ask these questions too.
Yo, take that off the screen for 1 second because I want to show people the bottom of the flyer.
Okay, no problem.
Gotcha. I know he is.
Now,
okay.
Hold on, I got to take the banner off.
You got it. Now this flyer, right? This is 1984. In 1984, how old am I? Graduated 87, 18. So I'm like 15 years old. This group right here, the Floor Wizards, was a breakdance crew. That's why it says Upstate Breakers, which is funny because we're not upstate. Albany is upstate, Syracuse is upstate, but people in the city call anything like north of White Plains upstate. But this group is from right here where I'm from. My friends that they were in this group, Tank, Greg, the twins, Julio, Giuseppe, right here. This is 1984. You couldn't tell me we wasn't hip hop, but you don't see it on the flyer. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Cold Crush Brothers, AJ. This is down in Westchester at the Westchester County Center. Force MDs. This might be Rockmaster Scott and them right here. Request line, maybe. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Andre Harrell, which might be this one here. And Cold Crush. Look at Cold Crush here. They got suits on. They go Charlie Chase right there. Down there at the bottom, if you can see it. This might be AD with the braids on, but that doesn't matter. But I'm just showing, and I think this is Dougie Fresh right here. That's Dougie Fresh. Dougie Fresh had two DJs, Chill Will and Barry B. So in 84, when I'm a teenager and my friends are legit breakdancers going to the city to battle and to perform, I was a DJ. I was in the DJ, not breakdancing. It still wasn't something that was written everywhere. We could have called it anything we want. And this is 84. So you can go back through the flyers in the 70s. Show me where it says hip hop all over the place. But now you're telling me because it doesn't say hip hop, they're not breaking, they ain't DJing, they ain't rapping, they ain't spraying graffiti. And one of my friends who was a breaker and a popper did graffiti right here in this, tank. So when does it start? Whenever they stuck the label on it. But when did the culture and all the elements of it, it was a part of what we do. It's a continuation of what African Americans did. That's my answer to that question.
Let me add some. Let me add something real quick to that. I'm gonna be quick. So in my head, I kind of imagined the analogy right quick as you were saying that. Let's imagine, the evolution of basketball. Let's say you got a guy who's shooting the ball into a ring, but there's no paint, there's no dribbling, there's no referee. Like, how many steps does it take for this guy shooting a ball into a ring to then become what we know as basketball? It takes all these different things. You need the referee, you need the other team, you need dribbling, you need traveling, you need the rules. If you don't have all that, you just shooting the ball in the ring. Now you could be just dribbling the ball, right? But until you put all these different things together, you don't have basketball, the game of basketball as we know it. Okay. I think it's all important.
Okay. So as per sources, right? Hip hop started 1973, 1520, right?
That's what they say.
So all the elements would have to be in that rec room where Herc was at, right? If one element is missing, it's not hip hop.
Technically.
So Herc never said why I played the records. And Coke LaRock was on the microphone, never said he was rapping, just said he was on the mic. And the break dancers were dancing. Someone was spraying graffiti on the wall. Ain't that an element? The fourth element, graffiti. I doubt they were spraying graffiti on the walls in the rec center. So an element is missing. So is that when hip hop started? See, it's the actual functions of what we do that make it hip hop, not the damn name that you stick on it. That's the problem. That's always going to be the problem. Go ahead.
So, quick question. All right. So, I was going. Okay. So, DJ Too Fast. Peace to you. It says so. Hip hop is not hip hop until it was named. Is that what y'all were saying? And then Truth Savior wanted to give some clarity to his question. But are y'all both saying that hip hop is not hip hop until it was named hip hop? Is that what y'all were saying?
I'll go first, right? So what I'm saying, right, is so okay, if I purely take exactly what Hits is saying for full face value, I can see people doing something that looks like breakdancing in the 30s. Are they doing hip hop in the 30s? I can see people that are doing something that resembles rapping in the 30s. Are they doing hip hop in the 30s? See, that's what I'm saying. There's got to be some
answer the question. When we're all if somebody did a jam at a park, DJing, had some breakdancers in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was on the mic rapping, not just on the mic saying somebody's car is blocking the fire hydrant. And someone was spray painting on a handball court wall, all at the same time. That's where hip hop started. That's hip hop. Now, if the graffiti artists leave, or the rapper puts the mic down, is it hip hop anymore?
That's a good retort. That's a good one. And it, that makes it ridiculous, right? You probably never saw all of that all in the same room. I get you.
Was rhythm and blues? No, I don't know if that's serious, but was rhythm and blues R&B when it was called race music? I don't know. Hits, maybe you can answer that while I look for the other question over there.
I saw something about race music, but I'm not too familiar with that. I don't know how to answer that.
Well, R&B is rhythm. That's what R&B stand for. Rhythm and
blues.
And then race music would be the person who's calling it that. Like my mom wouldn't call the music she listened to race music. Her boss might have.
Somebody
it depends who's saying it.
I get what you mean. In 75, it says your elements are now combined. Herc is playing, his B-boys are dancing, Coke is on the mic, and Riff did the flyer, all elements combined. Does that make sense to you?
Sense to me. That's what I mean by it's starting to become distinguishable at that point, right? I'm starting to see
who. That's your problem. To who?
I mean, it's subjective to me.
If you see your
That's
people
my
doing what
interpretation.
they do, how is it distinguishable? It would only be distinguishable to people who ain't doing it or saying, hey, that's something different. That's why it's never been this huge argument. It's never been a huge argument. Just like, and again, if you could do that with rhythm and blues, for an example, or jazz or any other, you can do it with anything then. But those
And
aren't large arguments. They're not large arguments.
I
That's what I'm
actually
saying.
saw this. I actually saw this for the first time on another person's show, and I saw where you can pull up black and white, videos of people not necessarily spinning on their head, but they're dancing on the ground. They're doing break dance moves on the floor in a suit in like the 1930s. So just because they're doing something that looks like hip hop, are you saying that they were doing hip hop in the 30s? See, like there's got to be some distinction to separate something that's a continuation
So
of
you're
something
saying there
that's
has
been
to be a
going on.
delineation. Okay, I get
Yeah,
your
No,
point.
no,
Yeah, there has
no.
to be some
You made the
delineation.
distinction, and so did they by putting it in the book on a certain date. That's a huge delineation. If they give it a date,
Okay,
a
right.
time, and a place, they already did that.
Mhm.
But if you had people like Flash saying, hell no, that's not it. It's when I did it. That's another delineation. Then you don't have the actual, I'm still looking for it on a flyer. Hip hop. So technically it ain't hip hop because by your no one called it that. If Herc was hip hop and everything he did was hip hop, how come he didn't call it hip hop? Why did they wait till later on to say that was hip hop?
All right, so let me ask you
Go
this
ahead, go ahead,
question.
go ahead.
So Logic, it says Logic stated, and somewhere, shouts to DJ FaZe, somewhere on some channel, DJ FaZe is going in on Dr. Cologne. Thank you, JG. Logic stated he watched a video of black people rapping in the 60s and dancing in the 30s that looked like breakdancing. Would that be hip hop? Wouldn't that be cultural continuity? But before you answer that, I want to go to True Savior's point. I think True Savior's question, I can't find it. Truth, if you could put it up again. His point with that question that he asked about is that he said that there was no hip hop in the 70s. It was just people having fun. It didn't become hip hop till later. That was what he was trying to say when he asked that question about when do y'all have a start of hip hop.
I,
That's what he
I like it. I think that makes some sense to me because I think somewhere inside of there you're leaving out what I was expressing with a lot of the Chat GPT stuff about this social and political essence of going on with the movement, right? I don't think that it matures into that social political movement that is being described so many times until later on. So I kind of agree with that. I think they were just having fun doing what they're doing, and all the things don't come together until around 75, and then people start putting a little bit of meaning into it, later on in like the 80s. So it's like you back to that basketball analogy. If one kid on the street is throwing the ball in the air, and another kid across the street is dribbling the ball, he's just bouncing the ball up and down. I mean, are they playing basketball, or do you actually need all this stuff to come together for it to be basketball? Like you can't identify it until you get the lines, the referee, until all of that, you're looking at precursor stuff.
All right. I would just add this and y'all go back to the questions or comments. I bet you that the term disco was way more prevalent throughout the 70s than hip hop for
I
the
would
same
agree with
group of
that.
people.
Yeah, I would
Hey,
agree.
hold on. For the same group of people.
Mm-hmm. I would
I
agree with
bet you
that.
the party were called disco parties. I bet you the rappers had disco in their name and the disco this and the disco that and the disco jam way more prevalent than you had the term hip hop. Does that make that disco music? Does that make now hold on, the Disco 3, which is the Fat Boys, by the way, would that make them disco performers?
Now wait, are you I'm just trying to rephrase what you're saying, right? Are
Go
you
ahead.
saying that they went to a disco party and did hip hop?
I'm not saying nothing. I'm telling you what it was called, right? If you want to say hip hop and someone said Bam named it, and it was only break dancing when they danced to the break beat of the music, right? It was only, that was it. That was break dancing. I think everybody agreed to that. The break part. Now, I can't play a break unless it exists. Right? As a DJ, you play music that people are going to dance to. And we went over this. Bam, Flash, Herc. James Brown is their number one go-to. End of that. So you can find number 3, 4, 5, and 6. James Brown is the go-to for whatever reasons they have separately. The term disco was way more prevalent than the term hip-hop. But all of that hip-hop stuff was happening. Why is the term disco everywhere and not hip-hop? And the gentleman in the chat said, if Bam named it early on hip-hop, I'm looking for his flyer in the 70s that says it's hip-hop. I scroll through the page on Instagram. I'm going to put it back up. I'm sure y'all can do 2 things at once. Ask some more questions, but look at the flyers. If you see hip-hop, stop me. Scream, do something. Throw something at the computer. Because I'm looking for the earliest ones I can find. You're gonna see Jam, whoever produced it, Sweetie G, Mastodon, the Death Committee. Boy, y'all don't know nothing about that at all. Curtis Blow, FM Jam Crew, Super Jam. Go ahead, somebody else. Ask a question or something.
No, I think we
hold on. This is even funnier. A boogie-thon. The hell's a boogie-thon?
Yeah, I don't even know what the hell
a boogie-thon.
They're asking how old you are, Logic. I don't know if they're asking is it Logic or Hits, but they're okay. You answered 37. I listen to more jazz than hip hop. Okay.
Huge Dizzy Gillespie fan. Huge.
And Truth Savior said that you are right, Hits. Some guy named Daquan Hampton, whatever that guy is. He says hip hop stands for higher information, purposely helping oppressed people. I like that. But there was a basketball analogy they wanted you to speak to, and I don't know how much. Did you have more of a presentation, or was it just the questions that you wanted to answer? Logic.
No, I'm good on the presentation. I don't have more that I need to present or that I haven't presented already. You know, I can pull up what the museum says. I mean, I've already shown that. You know, y'all can disagree with the museum. I'm feeling like I'm rolling with what the historians are saying at this point, and we all got our preferences on what stance that we want to take. I feel like I'm just saying what they're saying.
It says Hits go to Cornell University HH Flyers. There's over 450 flyers on display. Gotcha. Logic, there was a basketball question. They want me to read it and ask and get your answer for it. It says, so using the basketball analogy, if somebody stood around while James Naismith created the rules and regulations of basketball, does that person standing around get credit with creation? Peace, Truth. Talk to you tomorrow.
I would say just based on that particular question, no, I wouldn't say that.
Can you go back to that page? Go ahead.
But I think the the more accurate part of the analogy is if let's say if it wasn't just one particular person who came up with all the rules and all the other stuff for basketball, and let's say if one of the original players was a Puerto Rican, right, and the players collectively come together and discuss the rules and what's fair for both teams to be able to do on the court, I'd have to say he's a part of the origins. I think that's a better analogy, right? I used if one person over there is if one person's dribbling the ball on one side of the street, another person's throwing the ball up in the air, like you still don't have basketball. Well, let's say one of those people is the kid bouncing the ball is a Puerto Rican. I mean, he's a part of what's going on at the time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. it's not a, like I say, it's not a diminishment to me. Like the fact that to me, you don't get what looks like hip hop until, like you said, Grandmaster Flash. Like it's starting to make sense now of when it starts to look like hip hop. By that time, you got B-boys. By that time, you got Cold Crush. And they are there at that time. It's simple to me.
DJ Too Fast is giving a lot of information. It says that according to Crazy Legs, it wasn't named until 82 or 83. So apparently, you're not the only person that
that's
believes
something
that.
too with the interviews. It doesn't just matter who they're interviewing; it's who's interviewing them. It's the time frame and it's the questions they ask. Like a lot of people are taking clips and they're showing people saying two different things. It's the questions that unless you get the full interview, a lot of times. But for the most part, the ones you see, they're showing a lot of the Latin people in it saying it was African American culture. They just don't pop on the screen and say that. They're normally getting interviewed for their talent and their skill. Like you did the Rocksteady crew traveling the globe with the rappers and all of that. That's what they're getting interviewed for. But eventually in an interview, you get to how did you get started? Where were you at? Who were you around? And like that. But that's a snippet they'll grab, or then later on they'll say, "Oh no, it was me." And if by later on they mean after I was with this group, and you got enough time elapsed from 75 to 85, that's 10 years. And if they're traveling the globe in the mid 80s, early 80s, they've been doing it for what? Almost 10 years breakdancing. So they can say, "Yeah, it's me. I was there at the beginning. I did this, I did that." They're 10 years in. So it's context too with the interviews, and it's easy to say, "Oh, they said this in one interview, and then they lied and said that in the other." It's we got to take that with some context too.
Okay. Do y'all want to say anything in closing, or are you taking it somewhere else, or what are we doing? Because those are all the questions. I don't have any more. I don't have any more questions in the chat.
Actually, the flyer site that they gave me, I'm gonna share just real quick, and I'm gonna try to see if it will give me.
Logic, your screen is pitch black.
You went dark?
Yeah, you went dark for a second.
I'm gonna see what's the date range.
Is hip hop a spinoff of bebop? While you looking that up?
Yeah, I was just looking it up. It says there's some differences.
No.
That's what I was reading. No, there's some differences. Too many differences.
Yeah, that bebop is bands. If I'm still not muted, no, I'm not muted. Yeah, bebop is more bands and swing, and yeah, just look at it as bigger bands or jazz and bebop. I know bebop sounds like some funky shit going on, but it's hold on, back on the site. Can y'all see this? Yeah, I'm just looking. It's definitely a good site. They told me it's Cornell University Library. So this along with the Hip Hop Museum's website with Pete Nice. And that's what people are doing. They're digging up flyers. They're trying to get people to send in their flyers.
I think that's fly. I think that's real fly.
It's crazy. You get to see.
I think that's super fly.
And what we would all think was something we like, even the way they dress. Like you see a lot of Cold Crush pictures. They got suit, jackets on, the big collar shirts, looking like they're going to a disco. That was big in the 70s, the bell bottoms. And that's what me and Logic were talking about. That's a little more adult than the sneakers with no laces, the baseball hat to the side. They're still rapping, but now they got on collar shirts, jackets, pants, hard bottom shoes. So they actually grew with the times also, 83. But yeah, hopefully there's some good information for people. I'm just looking at the dates as we go real quick. But I'd be interested in finding flyers in the 70s that had the word hip hop party or hip hop artist or hip hop.
Apparently none of them. And
I saw one. No, I did see one on Pete Nice's
page. I think I might go with what somebody said in the chat, bro.
No,
it says
I saw
that
one.
Everything before that was just everybody having fun.
Okay, here's one right here. But this is
DJ Truth said that.
83. It says 10 years of hip hop, 73 to 83. So this is 83. I want the 70s. And I don't, it ain't necessary for like everybody, but that would be interesting to me. Because now you can see the presentation as hip hop shows, artists, dancers, etc., DJs, blah, blah, blah. That's so good. Our thesis question gave us 10 more questions, right? I think that's what it's supposed to do. That's how it's supposed to work.
That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to move the conversation.
All right.
The last question.
Let me
Did Black Americans exist before Jesse Jackson started using the term African American?
Another social construct? I don't think so. I think we were.
So wait. So you don't think Black Americans existed before Jesse Jackson started using the term?
It says African Americans. Were we
No. Read the question. Listen. Read the question. It says, "Did Black Americans exist before Jesse Jackson started using the term African American?"
Okay, there was another question on the screen, but of course, the people existed before the term. Yes.
Okay. I think they're trying to figure you out, bro. I think they're trying to figure you out. All right. Well, y'all done or what we doing?
I'm good. Anybody want to add anything in the chat? Thanks for coming out. Follow, like.
Hey, shouts to Be the Power. Apparently, DJ FaZe is over there trying to kill Dr. Derek Cologne live. So go to Be the Power TV. Yeah, go to Be the Power.
It's so
TV.
unnecessary. Like, and it's sad too, Logic, because I enjoyed it over the years, me and my friends. Like, I was gonna go upstairs, get my name belt from the 80s and a pair of Pumas I still had laying around. You see the turntables. I think a lot of it kept me out of trouble, playing music, wedding receptions, birthday parties, things. I enjoyed definitely participating in it, in the music and in that. So it's sad that we gotta, do this. Like me and my friends from all over came up in the 80s with hip hop, from Honduras to Florida, from Florida, Puerto Rico, you name it. That's just the Latin side.
They just asked, asked Hits, did you wear your pants backwards like crisscross?
Hell, so far after, I wouldn't let my kids do that. Nah,
I was gonna ask if
I was the baggy jean. No, the Lee jeans, then the baggy jeans, and I think after the super baggy jeans, like not backwards, but super retarded baggy, like ridiculous, like opposite of the tight jean era that they got going on now. The tight pants era was the opposite. So.
I was gonna ask if you had any old breakdancing videos of you.
Me, hell no. Better not be no. I can't. Man, I can't rap. None of that. I can't draw. I was a DJ. Now I know why nobody wanted a DJ, because you got to buy that shit, and that shit was not cheap. So.
Well, now what were you just saying? You were saying you hate that we have to do this. What do you mean?
No, I'm saying that the discuss, not me and you. But how they said FaZe and Dr. Clone probably over there just going at it.
But yeah. There's an underbelly to this conversation that I'm happy that me and you can have it without having to take the go into that side of the conversation, which makes it enjoyable. We just talking, we just having a conversation. We're not trying to. This isn't some race war or something crazy like that.
We all like I said, in the 80s when I was a teenager, we all enjoyed it from all nationalities. The white boys were doing their thing, separate a lot of times, but the rest of us, we did all that. We had fun doing it. So it shouldn't be that we gotta just try to destroy each other over that. It's not. Yeah. But at the same time,
that is unfortunate.
Mr. Rogish says that he was a beatboxer, a b-boy, and an MC.
Beatboxer, wow.
Beatboxer, b-boy, and an MC. One that makes you quite old.
Well, he got the voice for it. No, he got the voice for it. I can't rap with my nasal ass voice, and I had surgery, so I actually sound better than I used to.
They asking you, Logic, who started underground hip hop?
Mike Jones. Mike Jones.
How about Chopped and Screwed?
Oh man, I don't even know the answer
DJ
to that
Screw,
question.
Right?
Mike Jones.
I said Mike Jones.
Underground hip hop. What is underground hip hop? Is that stuff Cuban was doing? Hey, somebody look real quick for
Cuban.
Was that underground hip hop? Is there a definition for that?
Underground
I know it's
hip-hop.
trash,
I
whatever it
thought
is,
that
but
was
it's
like
trash.
Redman and
No, Redman
That's
wouldn't be
effects in
underground,
them.
would he?
Yeah, well, shit, they straight from the sewer. You can't get no more underground than that. That's
Yeah, but I
effects.
mean that was like
I'm messing with you.
released.
Hold on, hold
No,
on,
no,
hold on.
I
Just
thought
messing with
underground you had to be like yelling at your basement wall while you was rapping.
you.
That kind of
Underground hip
underground.
hop. Let's look it up.
I
I
gotta
don't
give
think.
you your props, Logic. You did this show very well, bro.
No, it
I don't
just
know
says
how
general
I don't know how
outside of
you're able
commercial.
to
That's all.
navigate these kinds of topics and titles without getting absolutely choked out. But I gotta give it to you. You do a damn good job with these titles.
Nah. Now, hopefully, these conversations end where we all can laugh and joke, and then look at maybe go back and laugh at some of the clothes they were wearing. Some shit like that, and just look at the information that's there and enjoy it and understand how it fits into the timeline and everything. Because to me,
Is there
that's
but
what's
I
going
want but is there a definition for underground hip hop?
No, it just says that's anything that ain't mainstream. I'm on Wikipedia. I don't.
So Cuban in them. Cuban in, so we call that underground / sanitation hip hop. Trash.
Straight from the sewer.
Straight from the garbage. Trash music.
Nah, I guess anything that's
Nah,
not.
that's just troll. I'm just trolling. Mr. Rowe, he says underground hip hop was whatever wasn't being played on mainstream, and that which was considered to be more authentic to the culture. It kept the soul, kept the funk, not so much capitulation. Trash. That was the music that nobody would pay for.
Hey, listen, them people trying to sell records, the artists, the record labels.
The underground, yeah, I guess. Who's the best underground rapper of all time? Underground. Who y'all think? That way I can get an idea of what underground music is. Somebody said Most Def. Most Def was an
Nah, he ain't
artist on a
underground.
label. He ain't no underground. He got y'all fooled.
I don't think he's underground.
That man sold records on big labels. So I'm talking about like underground and kept it that way.
Only stayed underground.
Yeah, kind of just stayed under. I mean, I guess we wouldn't know who it was, right?
Forget how you want me to answer. I'm gonna say Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne had so much.
Get him out of here.
Fire unreleased. I don't even say unreleased.
No,
but
that
not like
the music
label
might
released.
be. No, that's unreleased and underground ain't the
Yeah,
same
unreleased and underground is two different things. When I say
That Lil
underground, I
Wayne
mean like
had
a
Squad
guy
Up.
who never who people know per se, but never actually sold.
I like Pharaoh Monch. Like people like that, I guess.
Yeah, and Pharoah Monch will fall into underground. J. Rue the Damager.
Nah, he got a lot of airplay.
What
Him and
about
Premier.
the out of that boot camp clique? Rock, what is it? Loch Ness or Rockness something?
Rockness, Monster, Ruckin, Rock.
Yeah,
That's
Rock and Rock.
Sean P. Yeah.
I
Sean
guess that
Price.
would
I
be
guess
considered.
before
Yeah,
he really
Sean
got a chance
Price.
to blow
You
up,
know
I
who
guess.
I count? Now y'all ain't gonna say underground, but I think he nice. The dude that was on Rockefeller, fat light skinned dude. I'll get his name before we go.
So like
They got Supernatural in the
Yeah,
chat.
MC
Definitely.
Supernatural, Pumpkinhead, yeah.
underground and mixtapes, they're not the same thing. People
Underground is just not mainstream, pretty much.
Yeah,
but people know them
because
because you could not have a song and not be not mainstream. Just not mainstream, but they do have a nice following. Put it that way. Like
somebody help me out in the chat. The rapper Tech Nine, he's independent. I wouldn't say underground, but yeah, I guess Tech Nine. Yeah, Tech Nine would be a good underground rapper. What is the rapper that was on he's a fat light skinned guy. He was on he rapped with Jay-Z. He never really got released, but he was real nice. What the hell was his name?
Sauce
bro?
Money?
Sauce Money, yeah, Sauce Money.
Gotcha,
Sauce Money. I know, yeah.
Yeah, he has some of his records, a few singles, yep.
Yeah. Sauce Money. What's the guy that died from the Dipset? No, he didn't. He's not from the Dipset, but he was down with Cam and them.
Chinks?
He died.
No,
not Chinks Drugs. That's French Montana. This guy is like, he's unreleased and kind of underground. Only real underground people know him. He got shot. Help me out in the chat.
Somebody wrote Chris Rivers.
Mac Dre.
Joel
MF.
Ortiz.
Ooh, MF Doom. That's a good one.
Doom. Yeah, Doom passed
MF
away.
Doom.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, what's the guy? Damn, Jim Jones always shouting him out because he died real early. They thought he was gonna be real nice.
Big L.
Yeah, well, not yeah. Big L, I
that's-
guess, would be kind of Jay Electronica.
Well, he was on the
yeah.
way. Yeah, I think he got killed before he.
That's the first person that came to my mind, but people know who that is.
Jim
Like, how can
Jones' friend who died. I hate to Google stuff like this.
Yeah.
Somebody help me out. The guy from New York. We're not getting off of this until he.
Chef want to come up.
Go ahead.
I'm
you know
deaf.
the link.
Yeah,
You got the link.
Put it in
Stack bundles.
Stacks bundle. Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Stack bundles. Thank you. Who said that? Subscriber 1304. Stack bundles. Yes. Stack bundles. Yeah, I fuck with Doom. I don't know what y'all talking about. I love Doom.
Well,
Doom is one of the only. I don't really rock with him. It's like all his music, but I respect his entrepreneurship. The man is on the Forbes list as an independent rapper. I got to respect that. Close Contra is trash, Cuban. Big trash. Dell the Funky Homo Sapien. Shout out to Smash Rockwell and the hieroglyphics. Yep. Dell the Funky.
Damn it, man.
They weren't what's the name? They were Dell was a released artist. He wasn't underground, I would say. What up, Chef?
What's up with y'all? What's
going on? Nothing much.
Yeah, that was I think I seen a video earlier. I'ma share it in the Discord where this guy basically just proved that it was African American, hands down. Like, but it was something that like we already knew. I don't understand why I don't understand the fight over it. I don't understand us having an issue with young Black Americans creating hip hop. Like it's like crazy. Like, why do we gotta dissect that? You know what I mean? That's like if somebody say Booker T. Washington founded Tuskegee Institute, and then we try our damnedest to tear that apart. The show that there was white money involved in it, and just because there was white money involved in it, we're taking credit away from Booker T. Washington for spearheading and initiating that. Like, it's like acting like because we live in close proximity with people, we giving them credit for stuff. Just think about it. What could they possibly give us that we already didn't have? Like, did we need Latinos to teach African Americans how to dance? Do break dancing resemble salsa or any of the dances that Puerto Ricans do? No, it don't. You dig what I'm saying? You can directly look at Soul Train and see. You can look at James Brown. You can look at Soul Train. You can look at Jackie Wilson. You can look at all of it, and you can see. I'm trying to figure out what part of hip hop did you niggas look at and say, yeah, that's some Puerto Rican. That's some Puerto Rican swag right there. I just don't. It's mind boggling. You dig what I'm saying? But go ahead.
So the main part of what you're saying, right? Let's just get straight to it. Mm-hmm. Your concern is why do I feel the need to include this other people group, right? That's the main part of what you're saying, right? Yeah. What's the deal with me trying to not just say it's Black people? I would love for it to be Black people. I say that a bunch of times. Every time I keep reading it, though, I don't see that nowhere.
Yeah, but so you saying you need to read, and you need, basically we have the people from that era still alive. What I'm trying to figure out, if we got the people who was there still alive, why would you have the living testimony? The only thing that encyclopedia can do when we have living testimony is they can get it wrong. They can confuse you. We got living testimony. Like, so the earliest I didn't sing breakdance and go back to the 60s. But they tried to say that the Puerto Ricans brought taking it to the ground. Y'all heard that part, right? So they was already breaking to the beats, right? The black people was already breaking to the beats. So then they gonna try to say, well, Puerto Ricans, they brought taking it to the ground, right? But then when you listen to the African Americans explain it, they say, yo, by the time that taking it to the ground start taking off, we had already grew up a little bit. So we was a little bit older. Our clothes was a little bit flyer. We wasn't trying to get on the floor at this point with these expensive clothes at that time and mess our clothes up. So it was something that we let other communities, everything about it, I just don't, but Lord Jamal said it right. He said, man, African Americans, we are so innovative that when somebody else pick up on something, we already on to the next. So by the time these movies and stuff start coming out, you seeing black people already on to the next. Like he said, there was not just one dance of hip hop. To try to act like breakdancing was the only dance in hip hop, that's like saying that the flow of hip hop shouldn't have changed from the 1970s. We keep innovating. That's the beauty of African Americans. Yeah, our music don't stay the same. Our art forms don't stay the same. Just because they still breakdancing, we left them there, Logic. MC Hammer and them came out. Look, so we kept innovating. The flow kept changing. Rakim and them came out. You dig what I'm saying? The flow kept changing. So if it would be crazy for a dude nowadays to be still rapping like Curtis Blow. You feel me? Like we'll be looking at that like, yo, that's whack, that's crazy. So you can see how our dance kept changing. The clothes kept changing. Nobody is still is but by the time Rakim and them came out in about 86, people wasn't dressing like Run DMC no more. You dig what I'm saying? Like it kept changing. But you'll see nowadays, you'll see Puerto Ricans still wearing the Adidas sweatsuits, still spinning on their back. You dig what I'm saying? And we done already left that shit. So I don't know, yo. Hits, what you think, Hits? Am I on to something or am I missing it? You muted, Doug.
No, I think you saying it with a little bit more vinegar than me, that it's a continuation. And if you take something like line dancing, right? Line dancing in Maryland and Chicago and New York and Virginia and Mississippi are all going to be a little different. But it's still a line dance. You can do it off of the same songs and you just do a little bit, it's a variation of it. Again, look at right now. It's 2024. Look at the young people. I think we had this conversation before. You got the female rappers, whether you like the music or not, or love it. They're very popular right now, right? The young African Americans, doing that again. The dance moves, how they dress, different parts of the country, how their slang is even popular now. You got whole TikToks on people showing how different people talk around the country, and say different things. It's current. It's happening right in front of you. You don't need no external you can have it, but you don't need any external influence. If you got little nieces or nephews or grandkids or little sisters, and just look at what they're doing. Listen to how they talk. Watch how they dress. It's obvious. And then show me the let's use something like the Middle Eastern influence. Like we have a heavy influx of Mexicans now right here in my little city, right? It's a heavy influx going on. There's more, and I live by a high school and a junior high. They walk by, I don't hear them speaking Spanish. I hear them talking like Americans. That's one. I see them dressing like the young African Americans. They got the uptowns on, they got skinny jeans on, walking. They doing their hands like that. Now some of them you see now when they go play soccer, all that shit is off.
Right.
Because they go back to the field, you'll see them sometimes. They'll go by with the ball, like 8 or 10 of them. They're going to the field to play soccer, right? All of that other shit is off. It's you can see the difference in who they are, and when they're around other younger people, they try to assimilate to that. But when they're doing something that's maybe culturally known to them, like soccer or football, they got their cleats on, they got their right jerseys on, they kicking the ball down the street. You don't see us doing all that. And they go play ball, then you hear them walking back up when they tired, and they all doing this again. You pull up in the gas station, you may hear a song, hip hop song playing. They roll down the window. It could be anybody in there. But if you hear Spanish music playing, when they roll down the window, there's Spanish people in the car. For the most part, if you hear reggae music, it's a solid chance that there's some Jamaicans in the car. But you hear hip hop, it could be anybody when they roll that window down, that tinted window. You see white girls jump out the car banging the new hip hop. Spanish people, Mexican people, young people, older people. People my age who probably shouldn't even be listening to that. A lot of that stuff, man. Your old ass, turn that shit off. Like, you would be listening to that.
I didn't know you was that old, hits.
But I'm 55, bro. Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. You can see the difference, and you can see the influence. What was more prevalent right now? You can see it. What's more prevalent right now? Look at that Afrobeat stuff. It came and damn near went. Afrobeat's going to take over. Yeah. Okay. Where's it at now? Where Sexy Red, I think, got that up out of here. I don't know how, but she got it. Meg Thee Stallion, they got all that Afrobeat shit up out of here. And they may have one Afrobeat song say on their album. That's not saying, Afrobeats that's her album is Afro. Nah, they do like what's the name? Beyonce just did the country western album.
Let me hop in this.
Say she created country western music. No, but she got just enough right to sing it as anybody else. Her predecessors did, black men and women. Go ahead.
So Chef, let me ask you a question, right? So you say you've seen people doing breakdancing in the 60s. Right? Were they doing hip hop?
Was they doing hip hop? No.
Why?
Because hip hop wasn't out yet. All of the elements didn't come together, or what they're saying. So Ari, so why are you looking like that? I'm just showing you.
We got to go some baby steps. I actually remember I gave you an analogy at one time that you didn't like, and I think it's a little bit stronger than you wanted to give it credit for, right? So it looked like hip hop. It was the same people doing the dance moves, but it wasn't hip hop. And the reasons why, as you just said, the term hadn't been coined yet. The music genre hadn't been developed yet, right? So they were just doing what they do. So that's where I agree with Hits, that it's continuation of something that African Americans were doing. I agree with him there. Now, you don't start to get something that is recognizable as hip hop until 1975. And
Stop right there. So all the sources that say it started in 73 are wrong then, right?
Yep.
That's crazy.
I'm throwing it out. You threw it out one show, I'm throwing it out this show.
No, I'm not throwing it out. I'm just saying because hold on, you know what they're doing? They're taking it. Hold on, they're taking that term and they're backdating it. Let's go back to 73 and call that hip hop.
They're backdating it.
But hold on, by that standard, Chef could go, "Yup, we're gonna take it back to 69 then."
I'm not taking hip hop back.
He could.
No, I'm just saying you could do that by that standard.
You could, but he said no.
That's what they did when they stuck it on her at 73.
But he said no, right? Because it doesn't resemble what he recognizes as hip hop. And he doesn't get what he was recognized as hip hop until you get all these other elements established. And that's the same way I see it. And
I think the term wasn't established. I think the elements were there. The terms weren't established. That's my day.
All those elements are established. You do see significant players that are Puerto Ricans.
But that was my point, right? The point was that if you see African Americans doing all of these things. Decades. Some of the stuff predates the creation of hip hop by decades. I'm saying we already had it. African Americans already, with all of the elements that y'all are talking about, we were doing them first. That's the point. We didn't need them
they
to
were
teach
doing
us
what
how to
first?
dance. We didn't
They were
need them
doing
to
what
teach us
first?
how to rap. James Brown and Pigmeat Markham and all of them was already doing it. That's the
Hey,
whole point.
So go ahead. So say James Brown was rapping and doing hip hop.
No,
then
I'm not. I don't even have to say he was rapping, but they called it rapping. The funny part about it is the term rapping already existed in our lexicon. They would use it as a slang for talking and conversing. So rapping was already, all of these things was already there. I'm saying all of the things that you call hip hop, African Americans was doing them and Puerto Ricans wasn't. That's the point. It's our shit. Now, when they all came together and you called it hip hop, then other people started joining in doing it. Fine.
No, you're zooming. By the
Okay.
time they start calling it hip hop, those other people are already doing it. So
Okay,
all that
fine.
backdating that he's talking about.
Nah, hold
is
on. I think
covering time.
no. You mixing up
Yes,
what
it
Chef
That's
is.
a
is saying.
horrible argument, though.
Yeah, no, he
But
mixing
it's
up.
true.
No, hold
You
on.
might not like it, but it's true.
No, it's a horrible argument.
You look. You heard
That's
hit.
an
You heard
easy
hit say
argument.
at one particular time that it wasn't coined until about 79, and at that point, that's when they started backdating it to put it back in the hurt or pause to put it back to hurt at 73. So between 73 and 79, people were just doing whatever they do. They was going to the jam, right? They was doing the boogie down or whatever he said. They wasn't even calling what they were doing hip hop yet.
Hold on, stop right there. But were all the elements, damn what they called it, damn
Right.
what anyone called it, right? Were the initial, and again, unless there's spray paint inside of the party, which we don't think they were. Let's stick with dancing. Somebody said break beats, and somebody on a microphone. If that's the case, Pigmeat Markham was rapping before Coca La Rock, because Coca La Rock didn't start off as a rapper.
58.
But they'll tell you you can't use that. Or if someone was dancing to a certain part of it, you can't use that. Well, how the hell could you use Herc then in 73 when all four elements wasn't there? And by Flash's standard, he wasn't even on beat. Go watch Flash's meshes. It's on YouTube. Grandmaster Flash meshes the Cool Herc. Or his show on Drink Champ. He systematically takes apart Cool Herc's story. Period. He takes that out from a DJ standpoint. He dismantles that whole thing. And that's Flash.
I'm going to reiterate another point that I've been saying this whole time. If y'all keep that up, we're going to be doing hip hop in the 1800s. Now, if that's what y'all choose to do, because you're gonna keep going back and you're gonna be like, man, this look like rapping too. This look like breakdancing too. And look, and I'm okay with that if that's what you want to do. I think it's a little subjective anyway.
No,
so if you want to go back that far,
now hold on, Chef, watch this. Now hold on, I'm gonna say this and I'm done. If you keep it up, we won't have no African American music.
Oh, stop it.
We won't have nothing because it'd be everyone else.
It's still ours. It's still ours. It's a collaboration, yo. You can't collaborate. You can't collaborate.
A collaboration ain't ours. No, you could participate. A collaboration is not one person's.
See, okay, look. Let me talk to Chef for a second, right?
Go ahead. I'm done.
Let's get back to this analogy I used that I feel like you should understand better than anybody else, right? And I know you don't like it, but I'm gonna use it anyway. And God damn it, we're gonna do a little Egypt right quick.
Oh Lord.
So look, the South has all the elements, right? That eventually reestablishes itself, is recreated in the North, and is called something different, right? They look the same. Not even to mention that the people is already there before the culture gets up there, right? But eventually this thing moves from the south to the north, and it takes on another name. So by the time you get that label, now at that time you have to say that it's a collaboration. And I'm saying that's the same thing that happens with hip hop. You don't get it called hip hop, whatever that thing that people were doing until this collaboration period. And that's not like, I don't, if I could have it my way, that wouldn't be true. But as I keep reading it, that's exactly what keeps coming up. And it makes sense. And it makes even more sense when you realize that since the term isn't coined until later on, excuse me, and then they attempt to backdate it to a time where you don't even have the development of all these elements. It makes even more sense that some of this has to be during a time period where these people are actually on the scene, right? They're not just standing by, they are B-boys. They're participating in the African American thing, yes. They're not doing it in their Latino culture, no. I'm giving you all of that. By that time, these people are participating in the origin. They're participating. They're at the dance battles. They're rapping in the rap, the battle rapping. They're doing it. They're part of the origins. I mean, that's how I see it.
So what you're doing is you are taking it away from, because remember, it be young people, right? It be kids doing these things, right? So just because they didn't have the apparatus to make it big when they started it, right? Or to put it on the world stage, you are taking credit away from them. You're saying that when people started to label it, right? That when the kids started doing it years before then and was doing all of these things, you're not going to give them credence. You're only going to give it credence when the label, right, got put on it. So it's negating all of the little kids that went to the park and was dancing against each other and doing and creating all of these things. You're saying F that. F the real creators. I'm only going to market when somebody had an apparatus to be able to label it. When kids wouldn't do that, they wouldn't have the apparatus to do that. When the kids started crunking, when they started doing all that crunking, it wasn't no, it was just an expression that they was just doing because that's what we do in the hood. We just come up with shit.
You made a small mistake there. You made a small mistake there. You said that they were dance battling. They weren't dance battling until you get B-boys.
No,
you
don't get battling. You said battling, Logic, not him. You keep bringing up the battle.
He just said that the little kids was battling at the park.
But you said battle first. You keep sliding these little nuances in there like it's only something when they battle.
So hold on.
So dance battles ain't a part of hip hop?
So if they were back, so you're telling me that we needed Puerto Ricans for black people to start dancing against each other. That
Here's where they doing dance battles before B-boys.
So you're saying
doing dance battles in Africa. Yeah, you can't beat that logic.
That's all I was right there, baby.
Are all dances battles? If a person dance, is that automatically a battle?
No.
Okay then. Grandmaster Flash's homeboy came and broke dance in front of him, wasn't battling nobody. I think it was Easy Mike. That's who showed Flash, I think, how to break dance. Ain't have to battle nobody. You can go out and battle somebody, but so you're saying you're not a break dancer unless you battle. That's not true. That's crazy.
I'm not saying that.
That's like saying you're not doing a waltz unless you're in a competition to see who can walk.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the dance battles is pivotal.
No.
So you think
that's a distinct something that
that's a something. That's an addition to something that's already happened.
But we got living testimony. The people ain't dead yet. The people are saying that they was doing these dances, the black ones, say back in 70 and 71. Yeah, so you're going to say, so what is a more credible source here, right? Is it Chat GPT, or is it the people who was actually there doing it? That would be
Bro, you brought it up
what Sean and them
yourself.
call that.
They were doing the dances
Oh,
before the 70s.
hold on. What do Sean and Smashing them call that? They call that a primary.
Primaries.
That is a primary. You got the living people who was there that attest to these dances and these parties and stuff, and all of these things together in 71. And
Eyewitness accounts.
That predates the Puerto Ricans. So you're saying that the living testimony, you're going to tell me that ChatGPT is better than the primary living testimony? I can't rock with that.
Let me tell you how easy that is.
That's a fallacy. I'm gonna ask Cedric. I'm gonna ask Cedric which fallacy that is.
And look, I actually get this because of his put me on it. Yo, you
saying these old niggas got dementia?
Watch how I kill it. Watch how I kill it, yo. When they was going to the parties, they was not going to a hip hop party. They was not listening to hip hop music.
When did they go to a hip hop party then, Logic? When did they go to a hip hop party?
Late, right? Late.
No, I'm asking you. When did they go to a hip hop party?
It couldn't have been before 79.
He said
no. So Herc is out of here. Flash is out of here. Bambaataa out of here. Rock City.
You just pull up the flyers and you couldn't find hip hop on it.
I'm the one.
Didn't you just do it?
I'm telling you, the performances and sticking a label on it is two different things. You're saying none of this shit happened until they called it hip hop. That's insane.
Right.
That's insane.
That's insane. That's insane right there, bro.
Like
it's hip hop. You driving down the road. You ain't on the road until a cop pulls you over. Oh, now you driving. You've been driving for 100 miles. He pull you over and go, "What you out here doing driving?"
Okay, look. Okay,
what the hell was I doing?
So with that being said, just go ahead and say that they was doing hip hop in the 60s.
No, that's like saying Little Richard.
At least you'll say it. At least you'll say
ships landed.
Yeah. So Little Richard and them. So check it out. So Little Richard and them wasn't performing their same music before somebody labeled it rock and roll.
No, you can hear Little Richard calling his music rock and roll. You can hear him saying.
So before somebody labeled it, right? What do you think they were playing?
What could it have been until it was labeled that, yo? It had to be something else.
He's saying because it became different than because it
pull
became
up the chart.
different.
Pull up the chart hits, man. Your chart kills all this shit, man.
Because it changes. Hold on. Let me share the chart and let's just we're gonna go through this, not slow. Hold on, let me find my window. There we go. Let's do this. All right.
This nigga logic is different, boy.
Right. Let's zoom in. I don't know if it's you got to move that off the screen. Whoever got the screen. The reason you can go from right here, we're gonna stay in the center because hip hop is down here. The reason rock and roll can turn into rock and rhythm and blues over here can turn into soul is because something changes. Something changes when it goes from soul to funk. Right? Something changes. It's still along the same timeline, same instrumentation, same people. They're still dancing. I'm sure they're still singing. Someone adds something to it and makes it something different. So they have to call it something different. But it's a continuation. Hip hop is down here, and that has influences where from rock, there's an arrow. From soul, there's an arrow. You see an arrow from funk over here, and funk influences disco. So these things now you're saying, oh, it only happened when they changed the name. If it didn't change, why would they have to change the name then?
I'm asking you to verify my question then.
No, hold on. No, let's go back. No, let's go back to why you call something. Why did rhythm and blues have to change to soul? Because something changed. They can't call it rhythm blues no more. So something's gone. Now hold on. Here's what's important. See this little spacing here? This is the change from rhythm and blues to soul. I'm sure it didn't happen in one day. But by the time there's a difference, they can go, okay, this is soul music now. It's no longer rhythm and blues. We have to stamp it something else. Does that mean they wasn't doing soul anywhere in here? No. You're saying it only became soul right here. That's crazy. You have to do something. Because it came from this. No one's in a lab creating this. This is not a science project. Soul comes from rhythm and blues. And right before you stamp it, it's different than rhythm and blues. We got to change the name. It's not rhythm and blues no more. So we stamp it soul. I doubt from rhythm and blues, they said, let's make soul music and go change everything. And then from soul, they go, I'm sick of soul. Let's go make funk music. The music changes. And like Chef and them are saying, these people are still alive, and you can go watch their interviews. Go watch a Bootsy Collins interview. He can tell you how James Brown's soul becomes his funk. He played in James's band. Now, if you don't believe what he's telling you, and James is telling him, go ahead, play that bass guitar the way you do. They had a dispute over money, I think. That's why Bootsy left. And then because of the way he plays his music, it's not rhythm and blues no more. It's not soul no more. It turns into funk. But
Yes.
hold on, listen. He did the funk music first before he could label it funk. Because it has to change first. You don't say, I'm going to do funk today. And then, you could do that, but that's not what he did. That's why the timeline is important. They're showing you what turned into what influenced what. They're showing you that. Like you're arguing with the chart.
I see it. I see the chart. So look, Coke Rock says he's the first rapper. You agree with that?
I think he said he's the first MC. He might have said he's the first rapper.
Do you agree that he said he's the first rapper? I heard him say he was the first rapper.
If he said he's the first MC.
I could be wrong. That we'll deal with that later.
Yeah.
But I heard him say he was the first rapper. Would you agree to that?
I would think he's the first MC.
Okay. Who y'all talking about? Y'all talking about what's face? Coco. Yeah. Coco Rock. Okay.
I heard him say on as a matter of fact, I think it was on that Tariq Nasheed movie that he called himself the first rapper. So I wouldn't agree.
I actually give it to James Brown, but yeah, let's go.
Okay. See, look, I can deal with that, right? I would just like if that was what Hits was saying, which he did just say that they were doing hip hop in the 60s, I'll just be like,
exactly.
All right, cool. I don't agree, but I get what you're saying. I get
How you not agree?
I'm saying that backwards to answer your question. The chart says what the chart says what. But hold on, listen, no. You keep saying so by that metric, you would say hip hop started in the 1600s. The chart is right here. You don't have to say or make up nothing. There's a chart right here. That's done by, but hold on, listen what I'm saying. That's done by a PhD, Portia K. Maltzby. She's a ethnomusic, something like that. Ethnomusologist. Like, I guess that means you deal with ethnic music, and that's your major of study. But hold on, I'm going to show you something else. Go ahead.
I get it. So I think it's this simple. What kind of music were they playing in that 1973 party?
Okay, do you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I put in 70s rap song. They got Gil Scott Heron here. Because some people consider spoken word and the kind of music he was doing rapping. Like Chef said, the term rap is synonymous with something we were doing. Did we make up the term? Probably not. But if me and you was rapping, I
don't see why. I don't see why not. We didn't make it up.
I'm just saying, like that's a whole.
On
that. But this is 71. They got what else they got here? 73. Jungle Boogie, Cool in the Game. Rapper, I don't even know what this is, but a lot of these are late 70s. But you got the Steve Miller Band. They call stuff like that rap. Just off of a Google search. Most of it's like late 70s, 79. And those are the ones, we're talking about. Rappers that like King Tim, rhyming and rapping. And where's Curtis Blow? I don't see Curtis Blow on here. And this is just 70s. So if you put in 60s, let's just see what it says for 60s, just to see.
I was about to do it.
60s rap song. They got Elvis in here. See, they definitely bugging. So by this, me just reading this, I can tell you, oh man, it was rap. And we know this ain't rap.
That should kill the whole list right there. The fact that Elvis even on the list should kill the whole list.
But again, it's because of how they're trying to determine this, and it's a search engine. But again,
yeah, and then Elvis, we gotta act like Elvis wasn't in the juke joints. Yeah. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Look, he stole his shit from somewhere.
Just for confirmation, type in 50s rap song. See if anything pulls up.
Type in the Lumbamba Bone.
Now hold on, look, what's that? They keep taking people back to the Jubilaires, and the song is about Noah, so it's like a gospel song. Now, if we play the video, if he's saying his lyrics to a syncopated beat and rhyming the last word of it in a certain method, you could say, oh, he's rapping. I wouldn't go that far. I don't need to go that far back. We don't need to go that far back.
No, let's not get into practice and starting to picking and choosing what we're going to include in this.
50.
I just wanted to see what it said. So now that you see rap in the 50s, is that hip hop?
No. You know why? Because what he's doing right here in the 50s is what? Hard bebop, rock and roll, soul, or gospel. Actually, they're doing gospel right here.
And that actually flows, and that flows with the chart.
See,
that's why I say if you follow the chart, you can chronologically see how it grows and how it changes and how the function becomes something else. All you gotta do is if you just take your time. Logic. The reason you say that every time, you ain't got a problem with it. You got a problem with it because you try to skip a step in the step process, and that's where you fall off. Now, if you just take your time, it'll lead it. Let's go.
Look, that was the Jubilaires in the 50s, right? Gospel. That falls in our sacred genre. That's the Negro spirituals, all that, the hymns, blah, blah, blah. 1950. Look at the arrow. Go right over here to influence soul. Way over here it goes to influence soul. What's after soul? You got your bridge down here to disco. You got your bridge down here to rap and hip hop. You got your bridge to funk. You got your bridge to funk.
Case closed right there, Logic.
Now, if they were different, and I'm not saying they're the same name and all of that, but they're showing you the correlation. You act like we're making this up. It's right here in front of you.
Look, if that I can't argue with you if you're saying that they was doing hip hop in the 50s.
I said they was doing gospel.
I just want to
he was rapping.
But I understand what you're saying when you say that. Yes, at least now I feel like, okay, now you're at least agreeing with your premise when you say it's a continuation of something older. All right, cool. Well, how far back can we go to your distinguishment of hip hop? If you go to the 50s, I got you. It's not
no, I don't have to. I'm not going right here. I don't have to go to
going
the 50s.
All the way back to Gregorian chant, nigga. We take that shit all the way back.
Look, Logic, I'm right here, bro. I'm right here. Rhythm and blues, rock and roll, rock, soul. I'm good right here. This little section right here, because this is where hip hop is at right here, right? I'm good. So if you want to take disco is right next to rap. That's throughout the 70s. Remember, we had that discussion. They're calling some of the parties disco parties. Some of the rappers' name were Disco B, Disco G, Disco D. It's right here. Funk. Now you got Africa Bambaataa and them dressing, wearing them weird clothes, looking like
Hebrew Israelites.
Parliament and all of them right here.
I said it. Boom. Hebrew Israelites.
So now this right here just doesn't tell you like when it gets popular or none of that. Like it's not that detailed. But if you go to the 80s, the late 70s is where the actual vinyl starts coming out, like right here. And that's your house era, on your jazz side. We're not doing that. We stay with the go-go music, electro funk. And you could just go across the timeline. It just doesn't tell you when it's popularized, like too much or that much more detail is what I'm saying. But we can stay right here. And you see, it doesn't turn green until what? After the rhythm and blues. That's showing another change. You're blue up here. Where the work songs and the play songs, that's up here in blue, which goes through, funk, boogie woogie, urban blues, rhythm and blues.
And then to add a strategic thing to it, Logic, something that I know that you would like a tidbit. The change from like the funk to the R&B, a lot of that deal with the tempo. There was a slowdown of the tempo, so that's why the music started bringing a different feel, a different pocket. When it came to hip hop, you started hearing a lot more drums, which created different cadences and different pockets. But yeah, when the tempo changes, is where you can get the same type song, but a higher tempo. It'd be a funk song. Slow it down a little bit more, it'd be an R&B song. You might slow it down more, it could be a gospel song. So yeah,
and
it was a nice tidbit.
And two, just to add on top of that, right? This doesn't show you the technology available at the time, right? And like DQ said, some of this is tempo change and what instruments are prominent. Like later,
Correct.
like back here, your drums aren't as they're prominent, but you don't have that low end because the technology is not really there yet, right? That's why disco and house, all that can blow up right here because now you got equipment that can reproduce the low end, you know, for the bass and all of that. Funk is more bass heavy. James Brown, his drummer was like prominent. Horn section, and that's over here when you're talking about bebop. That's what I'm saying. You're jumping from this whole section timeline to go over here to bebop in the 40s, which is offshoot of what? The big bands, the heavy instrumentation, the horn sections, the string sections, how they actually sang, you know, the scat music and that. So it's that has its own timeline over here, but you can see some of the arrows jump over, and they're not prominent lines. This is where you see the influence. These smaller arrows. The larger connections is like a direct connection. Like you don't it's damn near you don't have to question it. The smaller arrows are more influential, but you see right here, hip hop, you got like 3 influences, and you got a direct one right from soul and right from funk right here. Like that's crazy. That's James Brown in them, or anybody playing in their bands, whether they're Puerto Rican, Cuban, Black, or whatever. This is the kind of music they're playing. That's what I was, me and Dr. Cologne was talking about. No one's negating anyone's contribution in the song he brings up, or the Jimmy Castor bunch. You got white members in that band. Afro-Cuban, I think he might even be, or some some part of the Caribbean. But this is the music they're playing. I told him, show me the chart, and I'm sure they got one of the evolution of Latin music. Show me a Caribbean music chart, and you'll see their influences. And then guess what? When rhythm and blues show up on their scale, do we get to say, yeah, that's us? There would be no ska music or reggae music or any of that down in Jamaica if it wasn't for us. They'll tell you that R&B music from the States was influential. They'll tell you that. But that doesn't mean we created that, or it wouldn't have happened, without our major contribution or this and that. It's 50-50. No one does that. That's crazy. So go get their chart. That's good homework for anybody want to do it. Go get the Caribbean chart and go get the Latin chart. And when these things show up in there, like rhythm and blues, I'm telling you, that's going to show up. Swing music, that's going to show up. Maybe gospel, maybe not, because of the languages that were used. Like if you got the French people, a certain part of the Caribbean, Spanish people, Spain and British. So you have a different language. But from the music side, the choir over here is more spiritual and singing stuff. But on the music front, this is where your influence, I think, is going to be in the Caribbean and the Latin. So I think she did a good job with the chart. Portia K. Maltzby, there you go, right there at the bottom.
I want to turn that chart into a shirt.
Like,
all you gotta do is put in evolution of African American music and put in images, and it'll pop up. Or she didn't have to go back to the 1600s.
Or I could just ask hits to send it to me.
Put it in the chat.
Really?
That's facts. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, Logic. find a chart. You can find articles and all that. But if it don't coincide with the chart, then you got, not saying you're wrong or right, but you have to do some work with that. Yep.
he want to keep it nice with you,
man. Yeah, I'd be cool with being wrong, man. I think it'd be a win. It'd be a big win. I mean,
somebody wrote a Portuguese kid mixed and mastered the first Mobb Deep records. Okay.
What that got to? Never mind.
No, I agree with it. No, I think they're saying.
No, I agree with it too.
Yeah.
Because contribution, I love it. Contribution, we never argue that. But creation.
Now the equivalent would be if I said I use my Portuguese method of mixing and mastering music to do their mixing and mastering. And if you're talking Mobb Deep, you're talking 90s, you're talking drum machines, maybe Pro Tools, probably not. There's only so much hardware and software people got.
He was Havoc used SP1200.
SP12? Yeah, that's hardware.
Yes, sir.
So you don't have the software.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's before that.
And that's engineering. Mixing and mastering is engineering. So did he do it by ear, or is he a trained music engineer? So it doesn't matter unless he says, "Oh, I put the Portuguese spin on it." What? on a boom bap beat, you put the Portuguese spin on? I don't know.
That's crazy. Now watch me try to make a Portuguese boom bap beat tonight. I'm gonna find some Portuguese flutes or some shit.
Put the Portuguese twist on it.
Twist on it.
Sample.
I think y'all did a good job too, man. Y'all
definitely had a good time, man.
Y'all hammered y'all points home, man. I loved it. It was definitely fun. I learned some stuff as I always do when we sit down and have this conversation. So I love it. I think it's cool.
Brad said we sound racist. He might be talking about the chat. He might be talking about the chat.
It wouldn't surprise me if they in there wilding all the time.
No, he talking about us.
Don't make me
said
pull
too
my
much
boy
Portuguese
Mantronics
slander.
up here. Don't make me pull Mantronics up here, top 5. Then y'all be mad because I think he's Jamaican, but I think he has some Greek. I think one of his parents might be Greek or something. Mantronic.
Don't worry about it. I'm telling you, when I blow up, I'm gonna let them know I'm 19.8% Irish.
There you go.
Put it up.
Let go.
Turn it up. We here. Irish had an influence.
I'm surprised nobody jumped up here, which you can do and say, well, all of this comes from them being forced to be Christians and the Irish, the chants and the different dances. But and a lot of it does have influence, but when it changes, right now you got to call it something else. When you take something and it's no longer what it was, you got to rename it. You don't have to, but how you going to distinguish, right? And that's where this is all up here, our interaction with the different European groups, because we didn't get off the boat singing about. Hey, we didn't get off the boat singing about Jesus to get gospel over here. I'm sure we didn't do that.
Yeah. When it got to rap, it became blue magic. It's a name brand. It's a name brand.
It sounded like a contradiction, man. It sounded like we were good for another 45 minutes.
Nah, I'm not.
That sounded like a contradiction right
you
there.
need to look at the chart right here for 45 minutes.
Yeah, we gonna pull the chart up.
That's all I'm gonna say,
The chart is your kryptonite. That's it.
I seen the chart. It sound good. I like it. 1 PhD.
It sound good. The chart don't even talk.
No.
That nigga said it sound good. You could have said it look
good. Do me a favor. Go get the Caribbean chart and go get the Latin chart and come back and squash this chart. That's it.
All right, look. Y'all done said, and I'm gonna say y'all at this point. Y'all done said that they were doing hip hop in the 50s. And I'm cool. Now I get
I said rock and roll and soul in the 50s. You bugging. I showed you where
hip hop. Yeah. The roots of hip hop. The roots of hip hop started. You can say the roots of hip hop started in the 50s. They was what's it called? Give it to me. Spoken word. They were doing spoken word in the 50s.
Just check this out. This is why I say to go on for another 30 minutes. So they was doing the same thing in the 50s. Right. So what changed between the 50s and the 70s to where they started calling it hip hop?
This is when I can tell you was just listening and I mean, not listening and waiting to talk.
Okay.
Hits told you that technology changed. When they was able to make more of a drum pattern, then the cadences switched up. You could be talking about the same stuff, but in a different cadence and pattern on a different sound, it creates something new. So that's what changed. Because there was a lot of acapellas in the 50s, and then they started incorporating a little bit of instrumentation. Then it became more of a feeling. It became blues.
Based on then they wasn't actually rapping in the 50s. Then.
No. See,
one of them two can't
no, hold
be
on.
right.
No, now y'all understand Logic's
one
point,
of them
right?
two can't be.
No, hold on. Let me sum it up, and then I'm done. Y'all keep arguing. This is Logic's point, which was obvious, right? You can't take something now, no, a title right now, title in 2024, and backdate it to the 1980s. See, that's what he's saying.
So I can't call the Egyptians black.
No. So he's saying you can't do that, right? But by the same token, the sources
the same
he's reading
argument.
and the method he's bringing up is that it started in 73 and it started with Flash, and they're backdating all of that. So either you can do it or you can't do it. And if that's the case, when do you actually start hip hop now, Logic? Now, me and you had this conversation. Now
I see where he coming. I see where he come from. That's cool with me. But you know what I call that? Where I come from? Hogwash. That's hogwash.
Gibberish. No. What was it?
It's a valid point. It's valid. But so look, if you agree that you starting it way back there, the earliest you can.
I didn't start. No, he said it.
No, we ain't started back there. The chart just showed you the lineage of where hip hop could have funneled from.
I heard you.
And I'm not running past that stop sign.
Yeah, you want to you want to add everything else? That's okay. Just go get those.
I got you right. So, and look, to me, it's not quite that simple. Even if they were playing, what you're considering rap in the 1973 party,
nothing about rap.
They wasn't playing hip hop.
This nigga's a pimp. This nigga's
a
pimp,
bro.
This nigga's a pimp.
Go get the chart.
You can tell him, I just broke my arm. That nigga Logic gonna be like, nah, I don't look at it that way. I feel like just the angles may just be temporarily the wrong way. We gonna get this back right. But like, nigga, my arm broke.
Hey, but hold on. But here's what's gonna happen though, right? When he gets their chart, he's gonna have to do the same thing. That ain't what that is. That ain't what that is. That ain't where that came from. No, they couldn't have been. Just go get their chart.
This is going to be novel Logic. You can actually make a novel chart. I will help you, cause ChatGPT can do it all for you. All you gotta do is just get the right information in to make the chart. Make a novel chart. You and Mr. Cologne can take over the world.
I ain't doing nothing with Cologne, yo. That's out. We can stop. That's the stop sign I ain't running past.
I had a solid time. I appreciate the chat. Definitely good conversation.
Oh man,
again,
great conversation.
Hopefully, we can move forward with the fun things in hip hop and African American culture and things like that, and deal with some other aspects of it throughout the years. Then
I want to create my own argument. I don't want to be with Cologne argument. That's all I'm saying.
I feel you.
But yeah, man, it was definitely a good time, man. We done rolled on a little overtime, had some fun with it. I definitely appreciate y'all, man. Peace.
All right, y'all.
Roll out.